Hello, stranger. It's been a minute since we last kicked it. And by the way, hello, stranger.
over to... let's start with this. Alright, welcome! Sorry for the long wait. I was getting up, sending out all the notifications that I'm live, and kind of got carried away with like, ooh, do I want this picture? Do I want that picture? You know, little decisions that you sometimes just need a little extra thought, but I didn't plan for the little extra thought in my scheduling, so thus we are a little behind, but we're doing good on time. We're just like yesterday, honestly. And I am going to try to be more on time and more prompt, but I figured I needed just a little extra time to get set up for this, because this is going to be a bit of a intense one. Not even going to lie. We aren't going to be doing COVID stuff today. I know Tuesdays have sort of become COVID days, but between having 2 of my videos from each of the past 2 weeks having been struck down by YouTube and just running out of new material to cover, I figured let's move on to something else, something that we can cover more easily, and maybe I also just have a personal connection to as well. So today we're going to be going over transphobes and transphobia and, you know, all that good stuff. Well, you know, quote unquote good stuff. Oh, no, wait, why is my VTuber model so tiny? Hang on. I don't know what's going on there. I've got some interesting stuff pulled up though. I'm excited for some of this, like, no joke. There's one video in particular that I really want to get to, but I want to save it for like the last thing we do today. Alright, just... there we go. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. You don't see anything. You don't see anything. There we go. Now you see me. Now I'm here. Watch this. Oh, wait. Is it this one? Yep. Hello, everyone. Gosh, I'm genuinely excited for this, because I'm looking forward to... Okay, I'm going to show you what we got. I'm going to show you what we got so we can go through it, and I can like give a quick teaser of everything we've got planned. We have a bit of an old video. This one's from October. Transphobia isn't in vogue currently with the conservatives like it was during election season. Huh. I wonder why that is. Nah, I bet that's nothing. No reason. Anyways, here's a lieutenant governor talking about trans rights and how trans people are a word that I cannot say on here, or do not want to say, because it involves children and bringing harm to children, and that's not something that is good or really worth mentioning, other than in the same breath as these disgusting people who believe that trans people are that, and those people who believe that kind of thing are just generally the worst kind of people, because they are dehumanizing an entire group of people based on those people make us uncomfortable. That's going to be fun. So we got Lieutenant Governor from Georgia. We have this one I want to save. It's from Arielle Scarcella, and she, if you don't know her, she is a TERF lesbian, so yes, queer people can be transphobic. It sucks, but it's something we gotta deal with. But she's here, and she's talking about, can you, she's talking, the video is called, I'll just read the title, I'm transitioning because my headmates are trans men. So you can see, like, this one I'm genuinely excited for, because this is going to be quite a fun topic for me to get into. And it's a shorter video, so it shouldn't be too long. There's also, of course, the one about M&Ms, because everyone has to have their M&M take at this point, right? Like, come on, it's just a sweet topic that everyone can just dig into. Then you have Elliot Hulse, who, if you don't know who he is a incredibly sexist man who believes that men are just inherently superior and have to enforce their superiority all the time through all sorts of different actions and behaviors and stuff. And if you don't, you are a weak man and subjugating yourself and blah blah blah. So he'll be fun because he totally has a balanced and normal sense of gender and how gender works. Right? That's how things work, right? Hang on, I'm just gonna... Don't know why my model is so crooked today, but I will be fixing that. Alright. There we go. What else is there? So then there is, let's see, Elliot Hall's talking about how good women are able to have childbirth and breastfeed. And then, of course, we have our favorite, Vanessa Vokey. If you don't remember her, on one of our first streams, we went over one of her songs that was all about transphobic taglines put to music. Really, it was just a bunch of garbage, but at least it was entertaining garbage. So we've got a few videos pulled up. We won't get to all of them, but we've got a few. I figured that would be enough. And we have over here, we have some more cheap, weird skits from people on YouTube about gender roles and the role of like men and women. This will be an interesting one to go through because last time we went through this channel, I was expecting some cursed content, some like really bad takes, and they surprised me with good ones. So I haven't watched this yet. We'll watch this as like a cleanse, and we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Got my coffee here. Trying a dark roast today. I think I needed more cream because it is too dark for me. I added a little bit of cream just to like make sure it wasn't all dark. But now it just tastes like half dark. And half dark is even worse because it's like you have that hint of the dark, but it doesn't go all the way. It just teases you. And so you have that aftertaste lingering, but you don't have any flavor before it. It's just the aftertaste. And it's like, oh no. That's just going to stay on my tongue forever and I can't wash it off because the coffee doesn't have any flavor because I've neutralized the flavor with cream. So yeah, that's my life right now. Coffee's gonna help. I'll say that. But it is disappointing today. That is a shame. Though having something warm to drink is always going to be pleasant. Like I cannot, especially with how cold it is here. It's been mid-20s the past couple days, and before that there was a day when it was like single digits the entire day. So having something warm to drink to like fend off the cold is really, really comforting. And since we're going over transphobia today, I do need all the comfort I can get. So yeah, there's that issue for you. Coffee is good. Careful with the cream. Oh boy. I might talk about voidness. No, I think I'll save that for next week. I do want to talk about my gender and like open up about that expression, but I want to get through some more material first, sort of lay a groundwork for it. And then once there's the groundwork laid, I'll be able to talk about it and have the words to describe it and be understood by people, because someday, I know that void is sort of a weird thing. I know. I'll find a way to make it less weird, I guess. I don't know. Make it chill. I have to update a few more people Hang on a moment. Let's see. Live on Twitch, if you want to hear me take down some transphobes and talk about having trans headmates, period. Alright, well, I think that's enough time. People will trickle in as we go. We got plenty of people here already. So, let's, where is it? Let's get this thing started then, shall we? Alright, so where do we want to start? Let's see. Let's go with this. It's a short video, only 3 minutes long. Shouldn't be too long, and it should set the tone for the kind of intellectual integrity and ability that we're going to see from these people. This is hang on, let me hit record so I don't have to clip this out later. Welcome to the Void. Today, we're going over a bit of an older video today, one from the election season. Unfortunately, a lot of the transphobia stuff on YouTube seems to be from a few months ago, back when elections were happening. But I'm sure there's no correlation, right? That's silly. That can't possibly be a correlation between election fear-mongering and transphobia in the public discussion. No, that's silly. Anyway, let's go over this lieutenant governor from Georgia talking about how trans people and people who advocate for trans rights want to take advantage of their power over little ones. And I'm going to use very discreet language because this person is an absolute moron who accuses trans people of the absolute worst things, and I want to make sure this video can stay on YouTube so that it can educate people, because I want this to actually, be seen. Anyways, this is Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, and let's see in his words what he's about to say. Oh, hang on. There we go. Yep. Yeah, I know.
Do.
Okay.
Go have surgery, do whatever you want to do, show business. But here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to force it on.
Apparently my computer needs to buffer this again, so just gonna skip back to the 10-second mark, let it load.
You're a man, you think you're a woman that thinks you're a man, you can go.
Alright, we gotta get some context on this thing, because that was one way to start this.
You're a man, you think you're a woman that thinks you're a man, you can go have surgery, do whatever you want to do, show business.
You know what? He doesn't quite understand how trans people work, because he's saying a man who thinks they're a woman or vice versa. But, he's right. It's your business. If you want to go get the surgeries or get the hormones or whatever, it's your business. Go do it. Go be yourself. Good job, Mark Robinson. Good speech. You could end it there.
But here's what you're not going to do.
Oh, here we go.
You're not going to force it on my children.
Right!
Alright, I wanted to let the applause play out so we could really feel how popular that was. He does know we're not forcing it on anyone, right? Like, we're not coming into anyone's school and be like, you have to be trans now, Mwah, your parents are going to hate you, but it's going to be good for you, so do it. Mwah. No, we're not doing that. No one is doing that. That was a ridiculous hyperbole of a straw man. Like, okay. He's going to go on and talk about how educating people about transness, about transgender ideology, but identities and how trans people simply exist. He's going to go on and talk about how that is dangerous and promotes people like turning into trans people. And look, if it turns people into trans people, it's because they were already trans and now they have the language and the intellectual structure to realize that. It's not because we made them trans, it's because we helped them come out of their egg. If you don't know what an egg is, by the way, an egg is a term in like trans or queer circles where it's someone who isn't out yet, but you can tell that they are queer and they just aren't ready to admit that or come out of the closet. It's a really cute way of someone who really cute way of saying that someone is on their way, but you don't want to invalidate them with what they're saying currently, so you just call them an egg. It's like, I know you're this, I'm going to respect that, but I also want to acknowledge when you're ready to come out, when you're ready to come out of your shell, we'll be here for you. That's basically what that term means. So this is what he's afraid of, is just basically a bunch of eggs hatching out of their shells. Eric, and I'm pretty sure nobody's forcing anything on anyone, least of all children. Well, let's see what he has to say about that. Oh, still more.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, but you can't be on the women's team if you're a man.
All right. We got the trans people in sports. We got whatever else he said. I was so distracted by the can't be on the women's team thing that I forgot what else he said.
Can't be on the women's team.
No, what was that before?
Yes, sir.
You're not gonna teach it in our classroom.
Teach it in the classrooms. So, first off, no one's teaching people to be trans in the classroom. I don't think that's a possible thing. You can't teach unless it's drama class, you can't teach someone to be a different gender. And even in drama class, you are teaching someone to perform as a different gender, not be a different gender. So even then, it's not the same. And that's, again, very specific example that does not apply to most of the school. It actually proves the point that they are not learning to be trans, just perform the gender that they are learning. So no one is teaching your kids how to be trans. Having books in the libraries that are trans positive is not teaching your kids to be trans. Now, as for the trans women in sports thing, first of all, why is it always trans women? I know those people are going to say, hang on. I know those people are going to say, oh, but the men are so much stronger than the women. It's a proven fact about testosterone that it makes you stronger. And like, okay, what about the trans men then that are literally taking testosterone? Do you care about them? No, of course not. It's always about the men who, not the men. It's always about the women who are who have grown up with different genitals than those people are used to seeing on women. So here's my stance on the trans women thing, right? In sports, go play whatever you want. At this point, we know that if you're on hormones for like 3 months or something, your hormone levels are not going to be any different than a cis woman's hormones. And frankly, if you monitor people's hormone levels like that to keep trans people out of sports, what's going to happen is that you will end up kicking cis women out of sports because they have naturally high testosterone and it is interfering with the testing results. So to keep it fair, you're going to kick them out. Even though even though those people have had no artificial boosts, are just completely cis, completely like what these people say they want. They want cis women in sports on the women's teams. But heaven forbid they have a little too much testosterone, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but wait, what if you're secretly a trans woman? And it just hurts actual women. Trans women are not any more competitively viable than any other woman. Trans women have not dominated sports like these transphobes have predicted, and transphobes have just been beating this point into the ground at this point for years without any evidence. There's been like 2 or 3 times that I can think of where a trans woman actually won, and most of the time, like, and they just ignore all of the other times that trans women don't actually win. They just point to like the 2 or 3 examples where it happens. I think there was one example in like high school sports, high school wrestling with a. Now this is off the top of my head, so do not take this literally. Take this with a huge grain of salt. I do not remember this exactly, but for what I can best recall, there was a wrestler who was forced to be on, who was allowed on the women's team, if I remember right, and either had not yet started hormones or was in the process of taking them, and ended up winning. And honestly, good for her. Good for her that she was able to win that tournament or go to nationals, whatever level of championship that she won. Good for her. But transphobes everywhere took it as, oh, trans women in sports. You see what happens when you let trans women on the high school teams? They perform like any other girl on those teams. Like there isn't a difference between any of those competitors. I'm serious here. This point is so overblown and so overdone that the few examples they do have, it just kind of ends up shooting them in the foot because A, they overuse it, and B, when you look into the actual information, like this one, where I don't remember. Okay, I'm going to say this was a bad example because I don't remember enough details to talk about it. So, I'm going to move on. Sorry about that. Yeah, point is, this point is completely BS, and I'm tired of hearing it.
Get mad, like it, lump it, dump it.
See, it's time for adults to stand up and start being adults again. Take a clue from that little story, The Emperor's New Clothes.
What is he talking about?
He's walking out here in the street in his underwear. And all these grown-ups standing out there talking about, oh, what wonderful clothes.
Oh, is he going to say that trans women being proud of themselves and being openly out with the clothes that make them feel comfortable are actually like the Emperor's New Clothes where he's wearing nothing? Is he like totally misunderstanding the point of that story and trans women in general? Because the Emperor's New Clothes is about an emperor who is too foolish and gullible to not believe in the evidence and to disbelieve anyone who tried to correct him. Whereas what he's suggesting is that the Emperor's New Clothes is about someone who wants to feel comfortable in a certain amount of clothing, in this case none, and receiving support from the people around him. Like that's a better trans interpretation of it, but that still doesn't make it sound like what he's doing is wrong. It just means what he's doing is out of the ordinary. And since when is out of the ordinary a bad thing? Oh wait, out of the ordinary is bad because these are conservatives, and anything that's not normal is banned. So yeah, sorry. You can't experiment. You can't figure out how to be your own person. You gotta just fit in with these people. That's just how it works. That was sarcasm, by the way. That was a joke. Just so you know. Be whoever you want.
Off the curb and say, hey, that man's naked. I want to be like that little kid. I want to be like him. I want to tell the truth and shame the devil. On this high time.
All right. Here's another point where we gotta stop because trans people have now been compared to the devil. Oh boy. So now we're going from just transphobia to a literal person taking political stage talking about God and the devil. Now, he's talking about his own personal faith, so I don't think this breaks the separation of church and state, but it definitely thins the line. And if he uses his faith to validate his positions, that is breaking separation of church and state. But we're here to talk about transphobia and trans rights, not separation of church and state. I just wanted to point that out. Trans people are not the devil. Trans people are literally not, they are demon possessed. We aren't we aren't influenced by the devil. Nothing about us is devil worship. We are simply people who, through, if you want to put it in a Christian lens, we are people who, through the imperfections of the world based on sin, have been born in bodies that make us uncomfortable. And so to correct this, we seek certain, we seek to break down certain stereotypes that have built up over centuries that are frankly harmful to us so that we can live our lives comfortably. This includes the idea that if I'm born with certain genitals, that I can now transition to a different gender. And if I would like, I can have different genitals. This includes taking hormones if I would like. This includes dressing in different clothes that are normally acceptable for someone of my physical presentation. These are the things that trans people seek so that they can feel comfortable in the bodies that they were naturally given, and to alleviate the stress and harm, mental harm that it takes to live every day in a body that makes you uncomfortable. That is the trans experience right there. So we are just seeking comfort and love and safety. Things that God should, support, considering golden rule, do unto others as you would like to do unto as you would like them to do unto you. Everyone wants to feel loved. Everyone wants to feel safe. Everyone wants to be able to express themselves safely. Well, I said safe, but these are things. So if God is good and loving, then he should encourage his people to seek safety and love and expression. It is not the devil who is telling people to break social norms. It is us seeking our own safety and comfort and love. It's not a devil thing. It should be a God thing, if anything. It should be more godly to seek out safety. But of course, because these people don't like change, and they can point to a couple verses in the Bible that's like, oh, no, men don't dress like that, even though trans women aren't men. It makes it even more difficult and more oppressive for us.
It's time we start telling the truth and stop being afraid.
Stop being afraid.
There's freedom and there's liberty.
Oh, here we go.
And there's pure lunacy. And lunacy is turning on the Olympics and seeing a man lifting weights against a woman.
All right, so we went from religion, a religious argument against transphobia, back to sports. Here we go. And you notice how everyone in this room is just agreeing and nodding with him, including the person behind the camera. This is this is the kind of sycophantic audience where people will just sit there and accept it because they hear language they recognize. It is the devil's it is of the devil. It is silly, and we must speak out and not be not afraid of the persecution that people will give us for speaking out. We must be loud and proud with our beliefs. Like, this is a kind of religious language that like gets people in the mindset that this stuff is bad and must talk about it, and persecution will end up validating that belief when they are like argued with that, like, no, it's okay to be trans. They'll take that as persecution, that we are the people who argue with them are just trying to persecute them for their beliefs because their beliefs are of God, so anyone who criticizes it must be of the devil, and the devil criticizes God's beliefs and makes things difficult for them. It's this terrible cycle that like reinforces transphobia and these beliefs even when even when they're wrong.
Lunacy is turning on the television and seeing a story in the local news about a man wearing a rainbow dress with horns in his head, his face all painted up, dressed up like a woman, sitting reading to children.
Oh, that's cute. Hang on. I want to show you guys something, because there is something that I think would be really fun. Now, because he thinks that if someone who's a man, or at least identifies as a man, dresses up and I just want the original thing, please. Dresses up as a woman and paints their face and wears a dress, that they are automatically like evil and terrible people and should not be trusted. That is lunacy and therefore evil. We're only going to watch a little bit of this, but I want to point this out. Because this is a pastor in a church. I don't know what church. Oh, Lutherans. Lutheran church. That makes sense. This is a pastor in this Lutheran church giving a sermon and doing children's story Bible hour, or whatever they call it in this church, in full drag. And clearly he's not burning up. God isn't like striking him down for wearing a dress and makeup and going into church and preaching God's word in drag makeup. So truly this must be okay, right? I mean, if it wasn't, wouldn't God do something about it in his holy house? Maybe. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Aragonet. And everything the speaker likes is called liberty, freedom, or of God, even if it's nothing to do with it. Yes, Aragonet, that's called loaded language. These are the good things, and we're going to associate them with these words. And these are the bad things, and we're going to associate them with those words. Devil worship, or deviled, of the devil, that's bad. Liberty, freedom, that's good. Lunacy, bad. I don't know why he picked lunacy in particular, but sure, we can use that word. I guess it's better than like insanity. Anyways, let's get into this.
So with many other exhortations, John proclaimed the good news to the people.
Chicago.
The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated, and I'd like to invite any children or people who would like to see a picture book that I will be showing on the iPad here. Anyone who'd like a closer view of that, to come up and sit.
Cute.
Come up and sit somewhere on the ground here. I have an awesome story to share with you today. I'm really excited to share it with you.
I'm gonna see if we can get higher quality.
Have you ever seen a drag queen?
Oh.
No. No, is this so? Is it everybody's first time they're ever seeing a drag queen? Well, hello. I am all.
I just want to pause this so we can admire her. I'll be honest, I'm not very into drag culture, so I think when they are dressed up, we call them by her or him if it's a drag king. But when they're out of costume, we call them by like whatever pronouns they prefer in normal life. So in this case, I'm going to refer to them as her, even though I know that this is a cis drag queen.
Also, a boy most of the time when I'm here, but today I.
Fabulous!
Today.
God, the way that wig stays is so impressive.
The
Honestly,
story that I
drag
want to share
queens
with
are
you today is
truly
called
powerful.
Joy. Does everybody know what does joy mean to you? Yes, what does joy mean to you?
Being friendly all the time.
Yeah, being friendly all the time. That's really hard to do, isn't it? Being friendly all the time. Yeah. Well, here, let's start. See joy here.
Okay, we're gonna skip this stuff because all I wanted to do was show you that, hey, there is a drag queen pastor. So here this guy is talking about how drag queens are dressing up and talking in libraries and, oh, isn't that demonic and lunacy. Meanwhile, a couple months later, not even, I think that was a Christmas thing, so this was done in October. Literally 2 months later, we have another pastor dressing up in drag to go talk to children in church about like how normal and joyous it is to be seen as yourself and to be able to perform and dress however you like if it makes you happy, and how that can be a godly thing. But sure, why not? It's liberty to restrict people's dress. It is liberty and freedom to ensure that if you're born in this way, then you must be that way for your entire life and fit all of these prescriptive stereotypes. That is exactly how it goes. I really need to get my model's arms to work because I'm doing a lot of moving with my arms and I wish you could see it. Anyways.
You know, back in the day,
Back
we
in
had
the
them
day.
kind of folks back in the day. Back when I was a kid, my mama used to tell me about it. She used to tell me, y'all go down to the playground now. If y'all see anybody out there hanging around in a raincoat,
Come on.
and you don't see no pants hanging out in a raincoat, y'all get y'all stuff and come on home, cause that's what we call pervert. And you don't.
Whoo! And there it is. There it is. Ding, 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 ding. We got to the P word, folks. The PEDO word. I'm not going to get any closer than that. So, if let's take him at his word. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that there is a person, that there were people back then who would dress up and have coats over femme clothes. Dudes dressing up, well, no, not trans women who would dress up in dresses and then put a coat over top of it so that they could be dressed how they felt comfortably, but also not be outed and sort of forced back into the closet by the people who clock them. So they would wear a coat over it. And maybe they would go to a playground just to, like, I don't know, relive some childhood fantasies that they never got to live out because trans nostalgia is real when dysphoria destroys your whole childhood because of the discomfort that it takes from having to go through a puberty that should not ever belong to you. That is the favorable, charitable interpretation of what he's saying. Or let's go with the people who don't wear pants around children are automatically queer people, like he's saying here, trans people. And so therefore, anyone who is doing this stuff is anyone who is dressing up opposite their assigned gender or what gender you clock them as is clearly has tendencies or attractions that are not okay, or anyone who does that is anyone who dresses up in that way is a P word, or anyone who you see standing around and being like that P word. Any and all P words are trans people. Like he's making the correlation 1-to-1 here. He's saying, if this, then this, in every case. That's what we call X. That's what we call a pervert. Which is completely not true. It's a false correlation. And to say that it is a fallacy would be understating it. It is a transphobic stereotype that I hope we someday get tired of hearing and retire with the... We haven't really retired a lot of stereotypes, have we? We've kind of just buried them so that they only get used by the most racist of people. Shame. What a real shame. Arrogant, everything I like is freedom, and everything I don't like is communism. Welcome to post-Red Scare America.
Right!
Everybody thinks
Hate
this
that
stuff
guy.
is new. This ain't new. Somebody somewhere right now on the internet grooming somebody's child to put their hands on them right now.
Okay, is that happening right now? It's possible. Was that happening when he said this? It's possible. Does that inherently mean it was a trans person grooming a child? No. No, it doesn't. There's no there's no correlative connection between those two. In fact, trans people are more likely to be the victims of this kind of abuse because they are going to go and seek comfort and safety wherever they can, and anyone who offers it is going to take it. There are times when people who offer that kind of comfort are going to take advantage of these desperate people in these situations, and the trans people are going to become victims. That's why so many trans people, part of the reason why so many trans people end up missing or dead. Part of it's suicide because they can't, because of the transphobia around them and being unable to live as their gender. And some of it is just being abused to the point where they disappear. So no, Mark Robinson. Grooming is not queer people grooming non-queer people to be queer. Grooming is not something that we do constantly to annoy you or because it is just part of our nature. None of that is true. And this stereotype that you're promoting is the exact opposite of what's happening and is promoting harm to people in my community.
You ain't got no reason to be teaching these children that those kind of concepts unless
Oh, here we go.
you got some like the old folks used to say, some idea about putting your hands on.
I'm not even gonna counter this. We've already talked about this. We've already talked about how trans people are not predators and that we are the victims. Also, I just want to point out, notice the Chick-fil-A boxes on the table here. Chick-fil-A, absolutely a balanced service that goes for everyone equally. But if you're queer or trans, well, we're just going to use the profits from our chicken to try to, lower your quality of life. No problem, right? That's fine. You'll keep buying our chicken. Chick-fil-A is gross. I've eaten there one time because I was down in Kentucky and I wanted to try it once in my life to see what the hubbub was about. It's fine. It's not great. It's decent. It's like Popeyes is good too. It's not worth the harm that it causes. I don't DoorDash for Chick-fil-A. I don't eat at Chick-fil-A because they want me to just not exist. They want us to not exist. And here they are being served at this guy's political rally or whatever this is. But yeah, they've totally fixed their transphobia issue, right? Right? Totally. Alright, and that's it. That is it. Alright, well. Point of that video was trans people are not as dangerous as they are demonized out to be, but there is a lot of demonization of trans people out there from major political officials who are happy to denigrate us for their own political gain. If you are queer if you're queer in my audience and you come across this video, I want to say there is safety and love for you. This community is going to be here for you, and we're getting bigger and stronger every day. And if you need to reach out, feel free. We need to support each other in today's day and age. When there's people like this out there and other people in the audience who believe them, we need to make sure that everyone feels safe. The Void loves you. Be sure to shout your thoughts down to the comments below, hit the like and subscribe button, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Alright, let's see if we can find a funny video, because I need to cleanse my mind after that. Whew! Whew, that was... That's what that was. I mean, no, the review wasn't bad. I just wish there were people like this, even to this day. I thought we had resolved this, but no, never mind. Of course they're still around. Huh. Man, I want something silly and fun. What can we do? Karen gets owned. I want to see some people to get justice done to them. Just for fun. Just for fun. Alright. We have a half-hour video, 8-minute video. Let's watch this 8-minute video. This shouldn't be too bad. And if it gets too cringy, I'll just move on to the next thing. I just need something to take my mind off.
These are my favorite Karens who got owned and humiliated.
Alright, we don't need the voiceover.
Managed to speak to the manager, who can they do not tolerate this abuse, and she will not be flying with them. This Karen then went into a total meltdown because she was removed from her flight and banned from the airline. Let's have a look.
First of all. Second of all, you called my employee a bitch. Completely uncalled for, inappropriate, you're not going to travel. We don't tolerate that crap with us at all.
Good. Good, I love to see that. Whew. Why is it frozen?
So you can find another courier to fly. I'd suggest Spirit. Nope. If you acted appropriate and you weren't disrespectful, then I would let you travel. But unfortunately, you called my employee a bitch. Did you call my employee a bitch? You didn't.
I was sleeping there. No, I did
You
not.
didn't. So the other people I heard you say it as well. So don't count. Yeah, she also had 2 children. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, don't lie, because you already did that once when you took the mask off and put a new one of yours on.
I was
Again.
getting this out of my bag. This I was.
This person is genius. Go, dude, go. This is beautiful.
You don't want to follow a federal mask mandate, and then on top of that, calling a vulgar name to my employee, it's not going to happen.
I was walking to the gate.
This Karen was
All right.
harassing these random people.
Let's get past the voiceover again.
Let's have a look.
Okay, let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
Yourself. Then call the police. I will. Because you don't speak English. I speak English.
Oh, here we go.
I don't care. I will. If you're harassing, go ahead. I'm not harassing you.
Well.
Okay.
Stop. That language is not allowed in the store. If you need to go, you're not welcome here if you do that.
There you go. You're telling me
You are not welcome, ma'am.
You're telling me.
You can tell this was before the coronavirus pandemic because no one is wearing a mask in here and no one seems to be mentioning it at all. I wonder when this was. Remember that simpler time? You could just walk somewhere and not have to cover up. I get scared now seeing videos from that
Bye.
time.
You're in America.
Bye.
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 Just waves at the camera
everything.
person. I love when they do that. They're like, bye, bye back to you.
This entitled Karen believed that she was cut off in this Taco Bell line, and for this reason got out of her vehicle and walked up to this random bite back though because she threw her drink in her face before getting out of her vehicle and confronting.
Oh, no, 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 not... We're not watching someone cough on someone else. Not in today's day and age. We're not doing that.
Gets
I think I've seen this one before. This...
His packages in an attempt to see what's in. Obviously, this is not this Karen's right or... Well, let's have a look.
My property.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of comings and goings of UPS trucks in this neighborhood.
What about that?
A lot of packages coming to this house particular. Well, something's going on in there. Something's going on in there.
She's mad because someone's buying packages? Honey, you know Amazon exists, right? I love how upset she is that someone else is getting packages and not her. Oh my gosh.
So it's Amazon.
I'm taking the package.
It's my Amazon wish
I'm
list.
taking the package.
No, you're not taking my package. That's
no,
nice.
Excuse me.
Oh, she's got a water bottle.
Oh my god.
I did not kill you. You're fine.
Oh my god.
You sprayed me with whatever that stuff is.
Oh, she just melts down on the street. Oh my gosh. The overacting. Someone give that woman an award for overacting because that was beautiful. Oh my gosh.
His manager was harassing her and giving a hard time before putting her hands into the...
Have I seen this one?
Not
maybe. Oh!
Terrible manager in the...
Oh, this isn't gonna be fun.
Trying to
That's my daughter! All you see is...
Trying to
Okay,
figure
gotta
out the
turn this one
situation
down.
and what details she needed to take this to corporate. Let's have a look.
That's my daughter! All you see is her motherfucking daddy. Her daddy nice. I ain't nice. You bitch, you bitch, you bitch. All y'all that got that motherfucking like that, boy. When my motherfucking baby in here and y'all be treating my baby every time she fucking work.
I want that energy y'all got with her.
Right now.
Bring that shit up here.
I want that
energy up.
Why you snatch that shit off my motherfucking baby?
Fuck you shaking your head for? Talk shit to me like you talk shit to her.
Say what?
I ain't snatch her off.
Did you take it off her head?
No, I just did it like this.
Yeah, you why? Why?
Huh?
Why?
So I can give it to the other employee.
Why?
Huh?
So why you ain't ask her? Why you ain't ask her? Why you say Kalisha? Let me get this.
I'm sure she would have gave it to you, true or not.
You speak, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why you taking it off her motherfucking head?
I apologize.
Apologize to her. Come here, Kalisha.
I love this energy that this mom has. Good for her. Good for her for standing up for her daughter like this to someone who is clearly unsure of what a boundary is. Good job. This is how you care inappropriately. You stand up for people and you make sure that they understand the rules without being like selfish about it. Because a lot of Karens just do it for their own gain. She's doing it for the safety of her child. And genuinely safety of her child, not some perceived fake threat. So good for her.
Apologize to her. This my motherfucking baby, and I don't play no motherfucking games. Y'all see her daddy come up in this bitch? He nice. I'm not nice. God damn it. I'm not nice.
I'm not nice. I love this woman. I love her.
And ain't nobody gonna put their motherfucking hands on her, especially not no fucking manager. What kind of fucking manager is you?
Is you?
Apologize to her.
Alright.
Okay, so this
Alright,
gentleman
let's pause it there. I think we got enough in. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to go. I'm feeling charged up after that. Let's do it. Let's go. Alright, so. Gonna save that. I think we'll do that one next. Do we want... Let's see. What do we want? Do we want Elliot Hulse talking about how good women have natural childbirth and breastfeed babies? Or do we want... No, let's not do that. Let's close that one. Is it ever too much makeup? Nah. Response to Mama Dr. Jones by a TERF. let's get into some old Twitter beef from a couple months ago. I think there's something else I want to watch first, just for like a teaser. So let's get this up first. If I can. Come on, mouse. My mouse is very slow right now. There we go. Welcome to the internet. That's a great tagline, though. Welcome to the void. Take a look around. Anyways, so welcome to the void. We are going over Vanessa Voki today. I think that's how you say it. Voki? Vanessa Voki? Voki, I believe. And she's got a couple takes that I want to just sort through. Oh yes, if you were here before, you might recognize her as the girl with the terrible transphobia song that we went over in one of my first streams. She is back. She has some new takes that we haven't gotten to cover yet, and I want to make sure that we give her the what is it called? The antibacterial, antiseptic of sunlight. Just sort of cleanse her and scrub her away and let her like enter the void where she can't harm anyone again with her terrible ideas about how women are only women if they meet her standards of womanhood. So first I want to go over this short video, it's like not even a minute long, about hate comments, and just laugh at her for being upset that uploading old transphobic content is causing her to get hate comments again. Like, what did she expect? Let's see what she's got to say.
Hi, this is just a quick video to send to my haters. I don't know why you're still here. I don't know why you're wasting your time. It's honestly really funny, because you're just feeding my algorithm, and you're just making more people see my video who do agree with me, which is the vast majority of people.
I love when people are coping so hard that their first go-to is like, you're just boosting the algorithm, and like, while that's technically true, clearly you wouldn't be making this kind of video, and I don't know if this is like a valid critique, but it sounds like from her tone of voice that she's genuinely upset and trying to cover it up. That is my interpretation of what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what I'm hearing. I just love hearing her like be so upset and try to cover it up with, you're just making me stronger. Your hate is just fueling my success. Isn't that funny? Ha 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 ha.
You know, sane people, people who are rational and good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was insane. I didn't know that I was so crazy because I support people being happy in whatever expression makes them happy. Thank you for correcting me, Vanessa Voki, transphobe of the internet. I will be sure to ignore your advice completely.
I think people who are reasonable and able to see through all of the manipulation and lies that your side constantly spouts out. And
Your side. Notice the us versus them narrative, the us, the good, smart transphobes, and everyone else who's dumb and insane and just can't understand how simple womanhood really is. If you just understood, you'd be so smart and loving, but you're not, so therefore you're insane and full of hate and full of just absolute lunacy. Just like the last guy we were saying, full of lunacy for believing these trans-positive ideas.
I guess keep commenting that I'm ugly, that you think I look trans. Don't even know what that means.
Alright, I do want to point out, don't comment about her looks. I'm not going to comment about her looks, except in like a positive way. I think she looks normal. She looks fine. Like, yeah, you look however you want, you present however you want. You can't change your face beyond like surgery, so you can't control that. That's not something worth like really critiquing. Her ideas, though, you can change someone's mind. You can change the ideas that someone believes in. And if you want to accuse someone of looking trans, Don't do that. That's such a turf thing to be like, oh, you must be trans. I measured your hip to waist ratio. You're clearly a dude because you don't have that hourglass figure. It's funny to me that she's saying she doesn't know what it means to like look trans when so many people on her side, I'm not saying she does it, but so many people on her side accuse random people of being trans and sort of do transvestigations to figure out if someone is a trans woman or not. And it's usually always trans women. They're always looking for trans women because they're afraid of quote unquote men who are actually women getting into women's spaces because it makes them uncomfortable that they have to expand their conception of femininity and safety and all of that stuff. They have to extend their care and support to other groups of people.
But anyways, just keep commenting. You're just adding to my algorithm. Thanks.
So that's who she is. Big piece of really, really full of herself. We're going to go over this video next. This video is her response to Mama Dr. Jones. If you don't know who Mama Dr. Jones is, I'll give you a quick summary. I believe she gives a summary in here too. She is a YouTuber who goes over science and sort of information, scientific information, and is a good disseminator of it. I know when the COVID pandemic was first hitting, Mama Dr. Jones was talking about COVID precautions and COVID safety, but she also talks about she's also trans positive and, believes in or promotes scientific knowledge of all kinds. Keep in mind, trans people have been, how do I want to say this? Scientifically accurate, like, the conception of a trans woman has been accepted by science for, at this point, decades. Like, people understand that people's identities are inherent to who they are, and you can't change them, both sexual and gender identities. So, the best way to approach and help people who are feeling dysphoria is to give them the medicine that they need so that they can transition to a body that is more comfortable for them. And let them have the space so that they can socially present themselves in a way that's more comfortable for them. That's where the science stands. And Mama Dr. Jones does promote that when the topic comes up. I'm not saying she goes out of her way, but she does. She is a positive influence in that sense. Vanessa Vokey is not that. She does not believe that trans women are women, so this is going to be a really interesting thing we're going to go over. Let's see what happens.
In response to Danielle Jones, or as you might know her, Mama Dr. Jones, MD, the YouTube famous OBGYN. So I've noticed that I have quite a few new followers here, and I wanted to start off by saying that I started
Just going to pause it real quick so everything can catch up.
a Patreon
All right, there we
account.
go.
So if you'd like to see my video,
We're not going to listen to your bump. Nope. I do notice the Radfem thing. Radfem is such a... if you see anyone who says Radfem, by the way, that is a dog whistle that says, I do not believe that trans women are women, and I am radical for believing in such a statement, which is stupid.
a YouTuber named Samantha Lux. Here is the gist of his response to my video about it.
No, I'm going to stop you right there. Her response. Samantha Lux is a trans woman. She is valid. She is wonderful. Do not misgender her. I will correct you every time.
This bitch is a photographer?
Look at her. Fabulous. Beautiful.
Involves the easiest way to explain cervical fluid is to describe how it feels.
We're not going to talk about this. This is just like a really sad, creepy, freakish attempt to invalidate my womanhood. I don't think any of the surgeries that I've had make me a woman. I was just as much of a woman before I had surgery as I am now, to try to make me seem like I'm contradicting myself, which I'm not. So let me get this right. Because I'm trans, you get to mock my struggles with infertility. You can't claim to be a feminist and then mock somebody because they can't have their own children.
Having their hymen ring.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree with her. I agree with her completely. I used to follow her, but she does a lot of vlog content, and I'm not like really into vlog content, so I don't follow Samantha Lux anymore on YouTube, but I used to, and she does some good responses sometimes, and honestly, she looks amazing. Good for you, honey. You go slay. You are amazing.
When they were having sex, and it's just not a laughing matter for us.
Yes, after my bottom surgery, I felt scared. I was afraid that I was never going to heal, and I did have some thoughts of regret. Bitch, that's a fact. Thank you for your very authentic, genuine, claims of hope that I don't regret my surgery. Using women's spaces because it's not okay. I'm gonna use all the women's spaces that I want because I'm a woman. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
Woo!
This bitch is attacking everybody. The end of this dude's video was all pictures of me before I transitioned, which, like, I get it. You don't want the transsexual to look prettier than you in your own video, right? That's the end of his video, but in conclusion,
Love
these are the
her.
freaks that the fear-mongering public figures like J.K. Rowling, these are the ones that they're motivating. Anyways, to end this video,
Yeah,
get
that's
help,
true.
sir. Like, I don't know what else to say.
All right. Okay. Samantha, I like your response. I don't think misgendering her back was appropriate. I don't think it was the right move, but I understand the impulse. I don't know. I'm just a tiny person on
After
the
I
internet.
posted the link on Twitter,
What do I get to say?
Samantha decided to chime in and ask me a few questions.
Good.
So someone tweeted at me asking if I think my video would help people.
This is old drama, by the way. This is from like a month ago, so don't go hunting anyone down here and like trying to start this drama all over again. This is a month old. Let it lie. We're just going over here to make a few points.
That have gender dysphoria. And I responded, I don't care about converting members of the trans cult.
Trans cult! Woo! Okay, we've gone over cults before on this Twitch channel. We have talked about what makes up a cult. We do not have thought control in the trans community. We don't have emotion control. If anything, what we do is on the positive end of the spectrum, where we allow people to explore their own thoughts and their own emotions and like try new behaviors out for themselves, and we'll support people in whatever behaviors and emotions are appropriate for themselves, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. So, we're like kind of the opposite of a cult. I love that she thinks we're a cult, or like she has to throw that word around because of the negative connotation, even though at any level of inspection, that does not pan out as an accurate term. It's just so funny to me that she's like, this is one of her things, just a part of her brand. It has to be the trans cult, when it's not accurate. It's so funny.
Women and girls, and to raise awareness about the attack on women's rights that is happening all around the world because of selfish men like Sammy Boy here.
No. If you want to say that right, which I don't agree with you, but let's say I did, that she is selfish. Selfish women. Say it with me, Vanessa. Selfish women like her. You don't have to like her or respect her, but you do have to refer to her correctly. And it's not an amount of respect that results in. It's not respect. It's just basic decency. I'm sorry. That's wrong.
So Sam retweeted that and said, "Hi,
Sam.
fellow cult members.
Sam, not Samantha. Notice that. Again, just a little jab.
Any of you know how I've hurt women?" And Mama Dr. Jones
Yeah, because she's making fun of you because you're an idiot.
decided to insert herself and respond.
Good.
You haven't. This is a weak argument from a weak person. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Because you're just a random transphobe on the internet. She's someone who supports trans women, and so she's going to support a fellow trans woman who is like also a content creator, and so they have like multiple ways of connecting with each other. And guess what? People have connections like that, and people have friends from different circles, and they support each other. That's what friends do. So why is she commenting and quote unquote inserting herself here? Because that's what happens on the internet, hon. Friends support each other.
In response to his tweet about how he's
Her tweet.
I responded by using female spaces and by saying that the operation that you had makes you belong there. Someone responded.
No, she did not say that the operation made her belong there. She belonged there before the operation. She belonged there before the hormones. She belongs in women's spaces because she's a woman. End of story.
She's female. What's your problem exactly?
Thank
and
you.
A feminist responded, do you
Let's see what she thinks is a feminist.
understand what a female is? Like the one that is biologically capable of producing eggs? Since when are trans-identified males genetically equipped to do so? You can't be a jerk if you're wrong, hun. Gotta choose one. And
Alright, so here we have a feminist who is talking about what the biologic components of a definitional woman. You can only be a woman if you fit these biological terms, these biological benchmarks. And if you don't, well, I guess you're not a woman. This is how trans ideology, TERF ideology works. You have to hit X, Y, and Z. Use those letters specifically, but you have to use X, Y, and Z to, X, Y, you have to use X, X, and Y to meet, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. Meet X, X, and Y to be a real woman. And if you don't, well, you're not a real woman. So Mama Dr. Jones pipes in response to this, because guess what? This person who says this is not a real feminist, because they don't support women. They are clearly anti-trans women, which by the way is a type of woman. So to identify this one person as a trans woman, to identify this one person as a feminist and ignore all the other women here who are supporting women, and like to suggest that only this person is a feminist and anyone else isn't, is disingenuous and frankly wrong. Anyways, let's see what Mama Dr. Jones says.
Mama Dr. Jones decided to say, so my premature ovarian failure patients and menopausal patients are inherently not female. That's a bit rude.
Thank you, Mama Dr. Jones.
That's not what I said, and you know it. My grandma is still a woman, and so are infertile women and prepubescent girls. If you don't know that, you shouldn't have graduated from medical school, let alone practice. Don't be obtuse, for fuck's sakes. As a woman with...
Okay, well, no, that is what you said. You definitionally said... Let's go back and look at the tweet, shall we? You said... Once we skip back enough... Do you understand what a woman is? So now she's going to define a woman. Someone who is biologically capable of producing eggs. Well, what if you don't have an ovary? Like it was removed because of surgery? Or what if you don't have eggs anymore? Are you not a woman at that point? So since when are TIMs, not sure what that means exactly, but genetically equipped to do so. Simple. We can do a surgery where we create out of stem cells an ovary for trans women. Now, it's not at the point yet where it's able to be done commonly for trans women if they so choose, but it is possible. And any woman who, say, is born intersex and assigned woman at birth, or any woman who just is born with a defect that prevents them from being fertile or producing viable eggs, or any woman who is past fertility and no longer has eggs that are capable of producing anything. All of that, guess what? That is exactly what you just said. It's required to be a woman. So to literally cross out what you just said because someone contradicted you is more a statement on you and your own shifting goalposts than it is about trans people.
Grandma is still a woman, and so are infertile women and prepubescent girls.
Let's get back to where we were.
Don't be obtuse, for fuck's sakes. As a woman with severe endometriosis before my hysterectomy, fuck you for trying to co-opt our experiences for your delusional argument against sex-based rights for women.
Oh boy, another
As a doctor,
turn.
you should be ashamed, and as for your patients, I hope they find new care.
So she's just basically reading tweets that try to attack Mama Dr. Jones, because Mama Dr. Jones is just calmly pointing out issues with the TERF definition of woman, with this limited definition of woman that doesn't allow for a lot of other people. It's really like, this content is just sad. She's not adding anything to this discussion. She's just venting on camera, where no one can like argue with her except in the comments. Arrogant. Nobody is asking Turf Girl to respect her as an authority. Just respect her as a person, as one should with anyone. Agreed. She should respect Sam as a person rather than a woman. I mean, she respect her as a woman as well, but since she doesn't, at least respect her as a person enough to like refer to her with the right things. Female is defined as eggs. Great. Yes, eggs. Oh, I can't do that. I'll see if I can find a 5-second clip
Mama
later.
Dr. Jones, what do you have to say for yourself?
Blocked me,
Blocking
coward.
women who are calling you out on your BS pandering to Samantha Lux and other trans persons.
No, that's a power move. Good for her. Good for her for blocking TERFs who are trying to assault her. I have seen TERFs on Twitter. They kind of like dogpile people who disagree with them. So good for Mama Dr. Jones for shutting these people down and blocking them before they can do that.
He proceeded to block me after I sent her this picture.
I'm sorry, what was that
Samantha
image?
Lux and other trans delusions.
I'm sorry?
He proceeded to block me after I sent her this.
Honey, no. Just because these trans women believe that they belong in women's spaces doesn't mean they're sexist for not respecting your definition of woman. Your definition of woman is the thing that needs correcting, not people's identities. Good for her for blocking you. You deserved it.
This picture. Luckily, a couple of my followers were friendly enough to send me screenshots when I reached out. No male has ever experienced ovarian failure or menopause. You know this. Everyone knows this.
Yeah,
Stop
see?
pretending.
More TERFs are dogpiling her. She's at least 6 replies at the time of this screen cap.
It makes you look silly. And I said, makes her look silly? No. Makes her look insidiously self-serving and misogynistic? Yes.
How is it self-serving when she's not the one with these struggles? She is simply helping people who have these struggles. How is it self-serving for her? Let's see if she explains that.
And I discovered that she did a video totally backpedaling on a shirt design that she made because she was worried about being canceled for being transphobic.
People started
Good. No, that's a good thing. If you do something and people criticize you because it might be, I don't know, transphobic or demeaning to a certain minority group, and like they point it out and they're right, you absolutely should backpedal and say, I was wrong. Thank you for educating me. We're going to change it so that we don't do this in the future, and shut down whatever, blah blah blah. Good for her. That's exactly what you should do. That is not a critique of her. That is a compliment of her and her standards that she wants to support these people.
asking me if it was anti-trans, and I had no idea why they would ask me that. This is the shirt, for those who don't know. You don't get to be
offended by science.
Transgender individuals are extremely valid, not a choice.
An article on medium.com.
Okay. Yes. Trans women are valid. It's not a choice. And I see why people criticized it, but that's not what we're here for. Good for her for listening to her audience. I think she made the right move by being a little cautious. Happy for her. Oh, this is
mental
this is
disorder.
Body dysmorphic disorder. On medium.com.
Okay, honey. All right, so let's go through this.
Individuals are
I see what you did
extremely valid, not a choice.
Rachel Ann Williams, why I chose to be trans. You do not choose to be trans. I'm sorry. You can make the choice to be out as trans. You can make the choice to present yourself as trans. You can make the choice to talk to your doctor about hormones, but you do not choose to be trans. This person, I don't know the article. I'm not here to read the article. like we could go into it, but I want to keep this focused on her. This is a bad way of describing the trans experience. If this is how it feels for this author, Rachel Ann Williams, good for her. I'm happy for her that she was able to find happiness in this, and that this is how she experiences and describes it to herself. This is not a good way to describe it to most people, though. So while I respect her, I don't think she communicated her point well. At least that's my opinion based on only the headline and not the rest of the article. I don't know if she makes a point later that could change my mind, and I'm open to having my mind changed. I'll say that.
An article on medium.com.
It's not a mental disorder.
Body dysmorphic disorder.
All right. Do we have to go into the what's it called? The psychology book that we're on the 5th edition of that I can't remember the name of right now. I'm blanking on it. Yes, there is the DSM-5. That's what it is. DSM-5. Yes, it does currently list body dysmorphic disorder. Now, is that a mental disorder? Not really. It's not a disorder, and people are advocating for it to be removed from the DSM altogether so that it doesn't get qualified as a disorder but simply a condition, because that would be even more accurate. But it is in there so that people who have these symptoms of discomfort with their body, the desire to be a different gender, that kind of stuff, it's in there so that those people can be recognized by the medical community and receive the medical treatment that they need, because it is a condition that needs to be treated, often with medicine, and sometimes, and often, with social acceptance and experimentation. Yes, it is in there, but it is in there for a reason, and not the reason, and not a reason that, it is a mental disorder and therefore can be invalidated on the ground. Guess what? Depression is a mental disorder. I'm not going to invalidate anyone who has depression and just say, oh, you just need to be happy. Just buck up because they have depression, and that is a disorder, a mental disorder. That's not how it works. The DSM can... hang on. Aragonet says... The title of that article might better be expressed as why I chose to accept myself as being trans, but that's not as catchy of a title. Yeah, but the subheading of that made me think that she worded it intentionally that way. So, without reading that article, I don't want to say too much about that because I don't have experience with that book, that article. The DSM can go screw itself entirely anyway. I don't agree with that. But I do agree that it's much more conservative in how it's written and presented than how current science is at any given point. Now that's for a reason. They want to be cautious with it and make sure that anything that's in there is going to be as accurate as possible. So they're only going to make changes when necessary. But that does lead to a lot of miscommunication and misinterpretation by lay people, such as Vanessa Volke here. For the record, the medical definition of disorder used in the DSM is anything deviating from the, quote, default human being. Thank you, Aragonet. That's actually very helpful. So yeah, a disorder is just something different from the basic human, which, we're still figuring out. So yeah. That doesn't mean that anything is wrong with them. It just means that they don't fit the definitionally normal human experience, which, is up for debate anyways. Also note that it's 1 in 50 people are affected by this, which is pretty high, all things considered, 2% of the population. In a population of, in the US, 300 million, would be 1,500,000 people. That's quite a lot of trans people.
Affects 1.7 to 2.4% of the general population, about 1 in 50 people. BDD is a body image disorder characterized by persistent and intrusive.
Okay, what is BDD? I gotta know what BDD is. Hang on. Body dysmorphic disorder. Duh.
Preoccupations
Alright,
with
we're gonna skip past this because this is just her reading articles about what body dysmorphia is. And look, you don't need dysmorphia to be trans. It can help you realize that you're trans, but you don't need dysphoria to be trans. Sometimes euphoria tells you that you're trans. Like trying something and realizing, oh, this actually makes me feel a lot better. That can be helpful too. And while you might enjoy your current existence as whatever gender you're assigned, you can also enjoy other gender presentations or whatever, and that's okay, and you can be trans. So, body dysmorphic disorder is not an end-all be-all of being trans, and so it isn't required to be trans. And B, you don't need to be have dysphoria to be trans. And if you do have dysphoria, it doesn't invalidate you and make you a lesser person for having it. It just means you have a different experience than 49 and 50 people. Aragonette, autism is a disorder. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. ADHD is also a disorder. It's in the name. Is she going to tell all of those people that there's something wrong with them? Yes. Most likely she is. Because when it gets to this kind of like nitty-gritty definitionalism, people like this are more likely to accuse other people of just being disordered and use these terms as weapons to defend their own bigotry, and that can lead to a lot of ableism and other bad takes.
Daily functioning. BDD often.
All right, let's skip past you being. All right, let's see what she has to say.
Find a sex based almost entirely on the way that your genitals develop.
I don't think there's any daily functioning. BDD often begins to
Blah,
occur
blah,
in
blah.
adolescents 12 to 13 years of age.
So
Yep. Okay, so 12 to 13 years of age, yeah. Usually we see it expressed in people who are just hitting puberty. Because, surprise, it's when puberty begins that we realize this process that I'm going through or about to go through is actually incredibly uncomfortable for me and I want to change it. So that's why. It just means, oh, we've hit the point where I can't ignore this anymore.
At birth, you're assigned a sex based almost entirely on the way that your genitals develop.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's true. If you're intersex and your genitals present in a way that is ambiguous, a lot of the time, even in today's day and age, a lot of the time doctors will trim your genitals so that they appear as one or the other and assign you a gender based on that, which is incredibly harmful to intersex people because then they grow up thinking they're one thing and then find out that their internal organs are different or that they had different genitalia than they currently have, and that can be an incredibly dysphoric and disruptive thing to discover. It can be incredibly not horrific, but it's not a comfortable experience to go through for intersex people to realize, oh, I was literally changed at birth so I could fit this mold. And regardless of whether they decide to stay in that mold or change into something else, that is still not a fun or positive experience for anyone, and I would not wish that on anyone.
I think there's any doubt Dr. Jones understands the difference, notwithstanding DSDs, between the
I don't know what DSD is. If someone knows what DSD is, let me know. If it refers to intersex people, we just went over that.
female and male reproductive system in humans, and how those relate to gamete production.
Okay.
Have indeed
We're
reached
at
a
the
dark place.
genital essentialism at this point.
When political tribalism demands she pretend not to.
No, you are the one who's pretending not to. You are the one who is using this information in a way that is not accurate or fair to the people it's discussing. You are the one who are trying to throw people out of spaces where they feel safe and where they should belong based solely on some arbitrary definition that you made up that makes you feel comfortable in yourself.
Gender is composed of socially and culturally constructed ideas about what constitutes a boy or a girl.
Right. Sexist, regressive stereotypes.
Okay, so what you're saying is we should get rid of these stereotypes and allow people to express themselves in any way they see fit? Because Vanessa, if that's what you're saying, I would heartily agree with you and encourage you to continue to push for that. If that's what you say and that's what you stand for, by all means, do it. Go for it. Please, I will support you. I will back you in that endeavor. If that's what you intend. Difference in sex development. So yes, intersex people. Thank you, Aragonette. I appreciate the help. We already went over DSD people as when we refer to them as intersex people.
This is the gender spectrum that Mermaids, a pro-trans organization, has been putting in schools to teach kids about gender identity. On the one side you see a Barbie doll, on the other side you see a G.I. Joe. It's about gender identity. On the one side you see a Barbie doll.
Hang on, I gotta skip back because I missed the doll.
This is the
Oh yeah, there they are at the bottom. Okay. It's a good spectrum. It shows that people can express themselves in any way they see fit. And it allows kids to sort of see the whole spectrum and literally ask, where do you want to be? You can point to wherever you want to be. This is a great way to teach kids. I see nothing wrong with this.
Gender spectrum that Mermaids,
It does use stereotypes, but that's kind of necessary when we live in a society that is sort of based on these stereotypes. Like, these stereotypes are ingrained in so much of what we do. So it's helpful to use them when educating people so that we can sort of be on the same page and communicate in the same language. Might it be better to get to gender abolitionism where we don't need these stereotypes at all? Yes, but we aren't there yet as a society, so we can't discuss it in that way yet because we don't have the language in a socially acceptable or widespread enough manner to have that kind of discussion commonly. It can be done in leftist circles, sure, but it's not widespread enough to the point where we can have it in everyday places. Aragonette. Also, stereotypes can be harmful, but also they can be helpful. It's how you use them. Yes, exactly.
Trans organization has been putting in schools to teach kids about gender identity. On the one side you see a Barbie doll, on the other side you see a G.I. Joe.
Work towards validating and including them in our discussions of healthcare.
So, would you add insult to injury by asking a patient with a chronic disease only women can have, what are your pronouns?
Only women can have. Oh boy, let's see what this is. I love that stipulation.
Don't use our health as props for your pandering. As an OBGYN, yes, your patients are inherently female. Why alienate 99.99%?
What did she say in response? It hurts nobody to include others. If you feel offended that I use gender-neutral words in public health education to massive audiences, or you have pronouns on paperwork, then you need to make more room. This is not offensive. You simply need to move on if it's not important to you. Yeah, here's the thing. Most of the time, if you ask that question to someone with these diseases, they're probably going to say she, her. But an important amount of time, a non-zero amount of times you ask that question, it's going to make the patient feel much safer and much more seen by the doctor, which is incredibly rare in today's medical world. A lot of doctors don't really have the time or energy to make the patients feel safe or welcome, or really treat them with a lot of respect. And while I do blame our medical system in part for that, it's also like just doctors are rude and think they know best when dealing with patients with chronic diseases like we're discussing here. So doing little things like asking someone their pronouns before you like go into talking about issues will help them feel more at ease and help them open up about their issues, which then gives the doctor more information to work with so that they can actually help the patients and make them better, treat their symptoms, figure out what's wrong with them. Like, this is important stuff for a lot of reasons. Good for Mom and Dr. Jones. She's doing the right thing.
Yes, your patients are inherently female. Why alienate 99.99% to appease who? It hurts no.
We already know it's 2% of people are trans. So it's not 99.9%, it's 98%, give or take 0.5%. Or really, give or take 8%. And I wouldn't be surprised if that number creeps up to maybe 95%. Creeps down, I mean. But we'll see. We'll see how the future goes.
Nobody to include others. If you feel offended that I use
We've read this already.
on paperwork, you need to make more room. This is not offensive. You simply move on if it's not important to you. A breastfeeding help group on Facebook has turned off the comments to a thread about a trans woman who took drugs to stimulate milk production and pretended to give birth to a dead baby.
Okay, I don't know about this trans woman. I don't know about the ethics of this or any of that. I will say the idea for like giving birth to your own child can be strong among women, and that includes trans women. And it can be incredibly dysphoric to realize that you can't ever have children. I already mentioned how there are uterine transplants that are starting to be possible, but those aren't widely available yet. Because it requires stem cells to be grown and all this other stuff. So it's not really something that we can do yet. Now, as for what this person did, taking drugs to stimulate milk production, absolutely valid. If you want to do that, go for it. You already are taking hormones that will help you grow breasts and produce milk. And if you want to take extra drugs like other women do to stimulate milk production so that you can breastfeed a child, go for it. Your women, if they want to go and get the help that they need to fulfill their own desires that are helpful and beneficial to their own mental health and doesn't harm other people, go for it. As for the dead baby thing, I don't know. Because we're hearing it from her, I have my doubts about the truth value of that statement. Could be like a doll, but I don't know enough to say one way or the other.
In order to live out a lactating fantasy, women who...
Not fantasy, desire. It can be dysphoric and it can be incredibly euphoric to have breasts that have milk in them, because again, it's like the same as a trans woman having a period. It's euphoric in the sense that you're finally having this experience that you've been told all your life is exclusive to women, and now you're having it, and that can be very euphoric.
said they are upset by this were silenced.
Science is inclusive.
Yeah, because a lot of those women, I guarantee, are like you. And so are people who would be upset not at what this person was doing, but at the fact that they were in trans. Okay, here we have her like new shirt. Here we have Mama Dr. Jones' new shirt, as opposed to don't be offended by science. It's science is inclusive. And this is a much better way of saying the same thing.
Are you? The other shirt, despite really poor attempts at a fringe community trying to invalidate the existence of transgender people.
My original merch is not at all affiliated with that.
We should all care very much about an ideology that seeks to change the meanings of words female people use to describe themselves and their experiences.
You're right. You're right, Vanessa. We should. So, if a woman says that they're a woman, what should we do? Should we believe them? Or should we try to reevaluate the definition of what a woman is so that we can disavow any woman who doesn't fit your particular definition? I wonder what would be more efficient. What would be, what would better fit that idea? Anyways, Aragonette, says, Aragonet says, I love how this Emily person is so angry about something that she claims does not affect her at all. Did we see an Emily person? I don't remember. We're going over Vanessa, but I wouldn't be surprised if she included an Emily. There's just a lot of people here, and I'm bad with names. Aragonet also says, if anything, TERFs, like this girl, encourage people to link being female with the ability to give birth and lactate, then complain with trans women want to experience the same. Exactly, Aragonet. That trans people want to experience things that are identified with womanhood because that gives them euphoria. If people like this say you have to give birth to be a woman, then trans women are going to want to give birth and lactate because it's associated with womanhood. Therefore, when trans women do that, these people are going to be upset because how dare you do that? This is a thing for women. Like, yeah, they're women. We're women. Trans women are women. Anyways. Ogabuka Wanda says, how big is your penis? Is it your first time in the void? My penis is as big as the expanse of the universe. Welcome to the void, by the way. You are inside of me. You are in the void. You are within the all-encompassing empty space that is me. Where you are in there, I'm not going to tell you. You'll just have to figure it out. TERF, if you were a woman, you'd be able to lactate. Trans woman, okay, I am now. TERF, heresy, exactly. I see. Thank you for the explanation, Aragonet. Ukabuka Wanda. Ukabuka Wakanda. I thank you. I got your name right. I'm sorry for that. Vord? Yes. Vord. Vord by the void. That's not bad, actually. Vord by the void. No, it's less of Vord and more of just this all-encompassing space that you have been enveloped by. Though if you want to think about it as a vor, you absolutely can. You're welcome to. Feel free to stay and like relax. It's a open space for everyone. As long as you aren't rude or offensive. Anyways, let's get back to Vanessa Voki reading other people's tweets, because this is content. Hooray! Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Ukabuka Wakanda. I appreciate that.
And she blocked me. Guess she doesn't like her privilege and hypocrisy.
Okay, let's get back to what she was saying before.
Is not at all affiliated with that.
We should all care very much about an ideology that seeks to change the meanings of words female people use to describe themselves and their experiences.
Alright, so... second half of that middle tweet. Yes, we should. So stop changing the definition of womanhood on people. You're the one who's doing this. You and other TERFs are the ones who are doing this. I'm so tired of you projecting what you're doing onto trans people and accusing them of this, because it just puts us in this this position where we have to basically take your points and debunk them on your grounds, which is just unfair. It's not a position that is it's not a good debate position to be in.
And
all right,
just classic transphobes. They take
just more tweets. Okay, let's see. First part of this is nonsense, and the sex-based right part isn't much better, to be honest. Okay, so this is someone who is trans positive, and Mama Dr. Jones is responding to that
issue with people just living their lives in ways that has no effect on them and dedicate their online existence to hating and yelling. It's sad, but they aren't here for conversations.
No, they aren't.
Says the woman.
You're the one who's mocking her and making everything she says, trying to invalidate everything she says rather than like engaging in this conversation. You are literally shutting her down, even though you got blocked. Vord. TERFs love moving the goalposts on womanhood. Yeah, they do. They really do, Aragonet.
He keeps blocking everyone that disagrees with her.
Of course, if I see you in my...
Because y'all are gangbanging... y'all are dogpiling her. Sorry, excuse that slip of the tongue. Y'all are dogpiling her. She's clearly trying to defend herself and like point without like actually wanting to get into huge discussions. And there were at least 6 replies to one tweet and two other replies to that person who was being supportive of trans people. So who knows how many replies there actually were in the end. I don't blame her for blocking people, because she doesn't have enough time to sit there and argue with every single transphobic turf that decides to come along and spew the same BS lines.
Clinic, and you're a woman, I'm gonna refer to you as a woman. I'm a woman. I'm a mother.
People who menstruate. What used to be a word for that? You're right, Rowling. There used to be a word for people who menstruate. Actually, no, wait. Did there? Or did we just associate it with something, but never really look into that association effectively? And now that we actually are coming face to face with the fact that our association between those, between menstruation and gender, now that we're actually analyzing that, and that's coming into focus, and realizing, oh wait, this might not actually be a correlation like we thought it was. Wow, it's almost like we use words in ways that aren't always accurate. For the record, anyone can menstruate. Men can menstruate. Women can menstruate. Non-binary people can menstruate. Do whatever you want. Call people whatever you want, as long as the people will consent to those terms.
Woman is not an identity. I would never in a million years go...
Alright, she's got XX in her Twitter title, so that immediately suggests that she's a TERF and a biological essentialist who thinks that in order to be a woman, you have to meet a certain genetic quality.
To a doctor that erased women.
Every millions go to a doctor that erased women? What about... Okay. Don't want to erase women. What if there's a woman who comes to you and says that she is experiencing problems with period cramping? So you go to investigate and you find that she doesn't have the genitalia that you normally expect. It's not like what you'd expect on an assigned male at birth person, but it's clearly not what you'd expect on an assigned female at birth person. What if it's like some strange mix or other thing? Or what if they have both? What would you say then, huh? Because that exists. So you saying that a doctor would erase women based on like this definition thing? No, you are respecting women by finding out if they identify as a woman or identify something else. You are respecting their identity and making sure that everyone feels seen, whether they're a woman or not.
I'm a woman. You're apparently a woman. Neither of us has disappeared, but one of us is insistent on being hateful toward people they don't understand. Yeah. Biology isn't hateful. It just is. And when men start calling themselves lesbians, it really is my problem.
Okay. As for the he-him lesbian thing, from my understanding, that was a trans men and non-binary people who used he-him pronouns still identified as a lesbian and use that term. And if they want to use that term and that makes them feel comfortable, by all means. I'm not informed enough on the debate to give a more informed opinion than that. But based on my precursory knowledge, if you want to use he-him pronouns but still call yourself a lesbian, or if you use he-him pronouns and want to identify as lesbian, and it fits, and you feel like it fits you, words are meant to be used. That's what they're here for.
Pro-women's rights is not anti-trans. If that were true, then the opposite would be true. Pro-trans would be anti-women's rights.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's not anti-woman to be pro-trans. It is pro-women to be pro-trans.
So, my final question for Mama Dr. Jones is, how do you sleep at night?
Oh! Oh, that disrespect. Probably not well, because her notifications are blowing up from people like you who want to invalidate trans people and destroy their experiences. Probably not well, because people like you want to mock her for making you feel uncomfortable that trans women exist and should be allowed in spaces that you don't want to see them. Because she wants to allow trans people to exist and you want to pretend they don't. And so people like you are blowing up her notifications and making it hard for her to get a restful night's sleep without being attacked by some TERF who wants to give the same 2-bit definitionalism argument that every other TERF seems to have. It's really dumb. And your smug little grin about how you got blocked for being the definitionalist piece of garbage, piece of transphobic garbage, in terms of your ideology, and only your ideology. Frankly, I hope she does sleep well. I hope her blocking so many of these people helps her get the rest that she needs. Because you are being just a giant troll.
Seriously. Since you've blocked me and all the other feminists on Twitter that were trying to hold you accountable.
Feminists,
we all know that you
in
know
quotes.
what a female is. And we all know that you're pandering. But why? What?
Honey, that's how science works. She's just defending how science works. She described that. You're the one who's pandering and changing definitions to meet your own comfort level.
What's in it for you? Is it the AdSense?
Nothing.
Is it the merch sales that you get a pat on the back from the...
What about you? What about you, Vanessa Vokey, who has your own, you have a Subscribe Star, band designs? Ooh, let's look at those after this.
Patriarchy? I don't know, but we'd all love to know why you decided to completely sell out women.
Selling out women. Huh. No, I don't think she did. I'm thinking about it. No. She defended women. She defended trans women. She defended the science that validated that trans women are women and trans men are men, and it's okay to ask people their pronouns.
So, you could give us an answer and unblock us. So we can
Unblock you? Oh, hun. She's just salty. I loved it. This video is just her being salty that she got blocked. So she's going through the replies and pretending she's still on Twitter. That's what this video is. She's just salty.
talk about why women's sex-based rights are under threat because of trans ideology, then that would be great. I don't know. It just seems really weird for an OBGYN to perpetuate misogynistic, sexist stereotypes about...
It does, doesn't it? Imagine an OBGYN who goes in and believes that all of their patients are women, and all of their patients prescriptively use she, her pronouns, rather than asking them, what is your experiences? What is your identification? What is the way that makes you feel comfortable and the way that, according to science, is your valid experience? If only doctors did that, rather than just assuming that everyone they see fits in these prescriptive molds. But no, she doesn't do that, right? She doesn't do that. She's a prescriptivist like you.
Women and dehumanizing language. But if you're not willing to have a discussion with women, then I think we all know where you stand. And it's on the wrong side of history.
Oh, that again. They are not sexist men. You are a sexist woman. Alright. I'm not gonna... No. So, let's see what her merch store has. This is, by the way, from the same person who just called out Dr. Jones for having a shirt that talked about how science is inclusive and science actually shows that trans people are valid and queer people are valid and that their experiences should be validated and respected even in medical situations. But of course, this person, who has no medical license to my knowledge, believes, that she knows better and is profiting off of men aren't women merch. Oh my god. Sticker sheet. Muggles aren't wizards. Men aren't women. Did she understand the point of the whole pureblood ideology, that where wizards believed that pureblood wizards were the best, and that muggles, because of their inherent lack of magical ability, were the worst, and therefore worthy of less respect and validation? Did she misunderstand that? Because what it seems to be saying here with this muggles aren't wizards thing is that muggles can't be wizards, muggles can never be wizards, and they are not on the same level as wizards, which leads to dehumanization and disrespect. Which, you know, let's say you're, I don't know, Hermione Granger? Hermione Granger, who was a mudblood, to use that offensive term, a mudblood, born to muggles. She was, as for all intents and purposes, a muggle who had magical ability and went to Hogwarts and became one of the best witches in that school. But no, muggles aren't wizards. She is completely misunderstanding this ideology, this book that she loves because she just has this idea of transphobia and doesn't think any further than that. This idea that muggles aren't wizards is completely antithetical to the very text of the book. Voldemort believed that muggles aren't wizards and therefore should be exterminated or at least subjugated. So many other wizards had biases against muggles simply because they didn't have magical ability. Remember in book 2 when Malfoy called Hermione a mudblood, and Ron, pureblood Ron, stood up to pureblood Malfoy for saying that, and even though it hurt him and his attempt to stand up for her backfired, he still tried to defend her and say that she belonged in that school. Trans women belong in women's spaces, and even if it hurts us sometimes to say it, even if we say it in bad ways and it backfires on us, it doesn't change the fact that trans women belong in Hogwarts. We belong in women's spaces. And the fact that you put this out there on your merch just shows an incredibly hilarious lack of textual comprehension, and really just makes me wonder if you can really be trusted to sort through information at all. If this is the kind of thing that you think is a good idea. Oh, no. Here's the thing. J.K. Rowling nowadays, garbage. A lot of what she has in her books, in modern interpretations, garbage. But her books also helped contribute to modern day SJW circles and progressivizing the millennials and the Gen Z kids. So I think that she's had a very positive leftist impact, even if we've progressed to a point that we can leave her behind and move on without her. I think that there's stuff you can take from her books that is good, and there's stuff that you can take from her books that is bad. But regardless of whether the stuff in her books is good and bad, J.K. Rowling as a person, not good. We can ignore her now. Let's just move on. She's had her time in the sun. She came out with her books. She's had her movies. Let's keep going. Is there anything else worth looking at in here? Radical feminist? Oh boy. Notice radical feminist has the ovaries there because of course it has to have the ovaries. Feminism is exclusive? Honey. No. That is literally, again, the opposite. Feminism is not exclusive. Feminism is seeking for equality between men and women, seeking for equal treatment between men and women. And that includes trans people, yes, but it also includes cis people, and includes cis men and men's issues as well as women's issues. So saying that feminism is exclusive not only encourages like men's rights advocates who believe that feminism is this toxic force and sort of like proves their point, but also proves trans people's points, right? That TERF ideology is so up its own butthole that it has completely forgotten its own roots. All it cares about is excluding certain people based on feminist sounding arguments and definitionalist arguments. Ay, ay, ay. She's the one who's profiting off of her own bad takes. Anyway, gonna toss her in the void. This was absolute garbage, and I'm sorry that this even exists. Exclusive feminism, TM, only for pure females, TM. Yes, the pure females who drink from the most purest of estrogen. Ah, they sip it with their tea every day. That's exactly how it works. Thanks for coming. Feel free to shoot your thoughts down in the void below. Like, subscribe, share, all of that. Remember, the void loves you. Oh boy, Vanessa Volke. She's an easy target because she doesn't really have much of her own arguments other than name calling and throwing up a definition. Like that is her take, that is her channel, that is how she defends herself. And it's so obvious and blatant that that's what she's doing that she's easy for us to mock because she doesn't have anything there to say. She just kind of goes through the same arguments over and over and over again. She's a piece of... She's not worth listening to outside of pointing out what TERF ideology looks like. And yes, that's important, and I'm glad we have that, but can we not have her get thousands of views on these videos, please? That's not helpful. Anyway, I'm going to look for another cleanse, and then we're going to get into that last video, and that will probably round us out for the night. Maybe we'll watch something else after, but if you have a cleanse, something funny, something silly for us to watch. Elmo is angry? That could be fun. Oh, Critical Role. Is that Twitch safe? I'm going to say no. Oh, it's on YouTube. It should be safe, right? Let's watch it. I'm excited. The Critical Role show comes out tonight. I cannot wait to watch it.
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
Hey, so like, remember when you showed me your boobies doing a flat recurve?
Oh, you saw them?
Like out of the peripheral.
From the stands, I said. From the stands.
I lift up my shirt and I say, I love you, girl!
Oh my god, it's her tits! It's her tits!
Don't distract! Okay, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you on a very delayed timeline by giving you this potion of superior healing.
Thank you so much, Grog.
Yeah, so if they ever get jacked up again, heal them.
Wow.
Because I fought better with boobies around.
I'll remember that.
Okay, cool.
Alright.
Deal.
Thank you so much.
By the way, just so you know, the actors behind these two got married after this campaign. So this kind of flirting is like extra funny because it's just like a hot fiance flirting with his fiance over like boobies good. It's so good. I love it.
No, I mean, I trust the others, right? But like, I know you on a more intimate level.
Because you saw my titties.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I love Greg. Hang on, wait. I gotta look up one more. Oh wait, there was something else I was gonna look up that I've completely forgotten what it was now. Dang it. Oh, I remember what it was. I don't need the whole song, I just need a clip. I just need like a 3-second clip of him saying egg. No, not a minute. Can't do a minute. It's gotta be 5 seconds or less. Well, hang on. Filter. Under 4 minutes. It's taken a while for my computer to load stuff. Anyways, let's check up in chat. Eric Annette, sorry, as of update 3.1415969, your femininity license has been revoked. You do not meet the current requirements of Barbie resemblance. You have been designated the gender goblin. Enjoy your short stack. Well, that's weird. Alright, filter. Okay, good. Video. Alright, let's see what we've got here. 53 seconds. 26. Okay, here we go. This is what we want. Now, I can't play this whole thing, just like a little bit.
Eggs, 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 eggs.
Alright, that's enough. I don't want to get caught by copyright, so that's all we need. That's what I wanted. When I think of eggs, like trans eggs and all that, I will always think of Ozzy from Man Before Time saying, eggs. Like, I need it. I deserve eggs. Let me think of eggs. These round orbs that I must worship and stroke with my fingers. Woo! If you haven't seen this movie, I would recommend at least looking up the song. It's funny. It's really funny just to watch. Because his compatriot is clearly gay and trying to be vegetarian. And then this guy's just like, no, we eat eggs. We do not respect eggs. Anyway, DS9 Deep Lore. Dr. Bashir and Major Kira's actors are married. Deep Space Nine. I recognize the title. I still don't know everyone's names yet. There's a lot of people's names. I only watch it like a couple times a month. Is Dr. Bashir the doctor, or is he the guy with the flat nose who teases the capitalist dude? I genuinely do not know. Major Kira is the one with the like bumps on her nose that sort of runs things on the ship, right? I think. Could be wrong. Let me know. You are definitely not offline. I can see this, therefore I've determined that YouTube is lying to you. Yeah, I think it was just like the connection bonked out for a moment. Now, there's one more thing I want to look up. And then we will get to the last video. Come on, there has to be an animated version of it, right? Alright, well, I guess not. We only need the first clip. We only need the first little bit.
Because only stupid people do that.
Lost cause. Abandoned ship. Abandoned ship.
Right, I have an intelligence of 6. I know what I'm doing.
And that is Grog's character right there. Obscene amount of confidence for someone who has no idea what he's stepping into. And the muscles to get himself out of almost any situation.
Do you have anything that can make Grog?
Alright. So, let's see. Bashir is the major doctor guy. Major Kira is the one first officer in the red uniform who runs a lot. Yes. Okay, good. The doctor's annoying. He is obnoxious and a piece of... He's a creep, at least in season 1. I know he gets better as the seasons progress, but I'm not there yet. Major Kira is awesome, and I love her, and I hope that she continues to get better and doesn't become more problematic as the series progresses, because the series needs more drama. But we will see. Anyways, I'm going to take a quick break. I just need to use the bathroom, get some more water, that stuff. So I will leave you all for just a moment, and then I will get back and we can watch that video. All right. All right. Well, let's get on to this thing, shall we? This has been something I've been looking forward to this whole stream. I have not watched any of this, so let's get into it. Start recording. Welcome to the void. There was something. So we are going to go over today a video by Ariel Scarella. Is that her name? Ariel Scarcella. If I say it wrong, please correct me. I want to make sure I say these people's names correctly because that's basic, decent thing to do. She is going to review someone who is going to transition because their headmates are trans dudes. Now, I want to be clear here. I am a trans person. I'm a trans woman. Non-binary, but trans woman. I have a headmate who is a trans man who identifies as a man but does not have the traditional genitalia in his idealized form. I know that's going to be weird to think about, but think about it this way. Trans people often think about their form and think about what they would want to look like, and not everyone's ideal body is going to be the same as everyone else's. Some people have bodies that look male and have different genitalia. Some people have bodies that look male but still have a chest. Some people have bodies that look female but, have different genitalia or still have facial hair, or they look male but wear makeup. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can present. Now, as for the headmate thing, all headmates that I've encountered, at least, are valid, and their experiences are just as real as anyone else, because a headmate is a person. And that's where the conversation ends. That's where the conversation ends. A headmate is a person. And how they identify and how they experience life is just as important to them as how the host of the system feels. So I want to go through some basic terms about plurality and just give a basic education on that before we get into this, because I have not watched this and I do not know how much Ariella knows about plurality or headmates or headspaces or any of that. I am new myself, so I will not pretend to be the end-all be-all of this information. I will just give some basic overviews of how this works. So you can have headmates. Usually people get headmates after experiencing a lot of trauma, and they have to compartmentalize and repress certain things, and it comes out being expressed in different ways. This does not mean that your headmates are traumatized and evil, as most stereotypes would have you believe, but what it does mean is that the headmates can have different experiences and identities than you do based on what they are holding and just how they experience and just the experiences that they go through. Their identities are just as valid as anyone else's because, as I said before, each headmate is its own person. So if the headmates want to, and I need to find better language because the way I'm describing it makes it sound like the headmates are separate entities as a unit from this other person, but no, this person is this person on the right that we're looking at is just as all of her headmates, all of her, I believe, headmates are just as much of a person. Everyone here is a person. So if they are trans and they want to transition, they should be able to, provided that there's not some conflict, such as in myself, where I'm a trans woman, but I have a headmate who's a trans man, and we've worked out a way to have our own experiences, such as I have a binder, but I don't wear it, my headmate does. This person may want to do transition in other ways. This system, may want to transition in other ways, and if that's okay with everyone in the system, that's great. You just have to negotiate with your system and make sure that everyone's on the same page. But if that's what they've agreed on, then good. That is my stance going in. That is my stance knowing nothing about the takes that are being held. That is just my, based on the title and my own experiences, how I would defend this or explain this. If you have any questions about plurality, please let me know, either in the chat or down in the void below, down in the comments, and I would be happy to answer them, at least to the best of my own personal information. But let's see what Ariella has to say.
I'm cisgender, the majority of my headmates aren't, and we've decided to transition. Which means that as happy as I am for the men in my system, I am about to have to watch myself go through the wrong puberty. And it's gonna be permanent.
I have no words. All I have to say is...
Okay, first off, massive respect to her. That is a very difficult decision. That is a very scary decision to come to, because it is so wrong for her and her identity. But it'll make so much of her. So it sounds like multiple headmates that she has are identify as masculine, and so it'll make their lives easier. And it sucks being in a system where there is that conflict. But good for her for coming to that. Good for her to that decision and helping her headmates. And I wish her the best, because that is not easy, and that is going to be filled with a lot of rough situations and experiences.
Let this video serve as a reminder to you that most trans clinicians don't believe in sending kids to a therapist or a psychiatrist in order for them to just throw you on hormones or, to affirm gender reassignment surgeries that are indeed permanent. This is...
Okay. Ariella. No, yes. Is that who we're... Yes, Ariella. Ariella. That is not the point of this. The point of this is that she has headmates, she has other people with her that she has to take care of, and that for their own mental health, they are going to transition, and it will be difficult, but not invalidating. And for you to use this as a soapbox to say that people who aren't even related to this current discussion, because she has not said that she is going to get hormones yet, she's not said she's spoken to a doctor, she's not said any of that. But for you to say that this is an example of doctors just throwing people into hormones and surgeries is incredibly irresponsible and frankly incorrect, because that is not what doctors do. Doctors sit down and talk with the patient and make sure that they know what they're talking about, and usually only in states that actually allow people to get hormones without a doctor's note, without a therapist's note, only then are they allowed to those are the only places where you can just go to a doctor, explain your situation, and get hormones. In most states, you still have to go to a therapist and say that you've presented for X amount of time, and then you'll have meet the legal criteria to get those medicines, provided you are over 18. As for the surgeries, they do not perform those without a doctor's note, without a therapist note. I know, because before COVID, I was signed up to get some of those. I never did, because COVID hit before I could get them, but I was going to get them, and I went through the process. And guess what? In every state, even California, the most liberal state, you still had to get doctor's notes and therapy notes and get permissions and jump through hoops. So it is not people throwing you into this stuff. I want to put that point in right now, because she's going to keep hammering that in, I bet. And it is not actually accurate.
Seriously sad. I am not making fun of this person. I don't think this person is faking it in the way the other dissociative identity disorder people on TikTok were in the last video I made.
We might go over that on another stream. That sounds gross. That sounds really gross.
Link below if you haven't seen it. Dissociative identity disorder, DID, is a very serious mental illness. It is. It's also very unexplored at the moment. Anyone who...
Both statements are true. And I think that it deserves a lot more exploration, because there's still a lot of questions that I would like answered as someone who experiences this disorder. Or I've not gotten the official diagnosis, but I have gotten permission from my therapist to use that for myself, which is an unofficial diagnosis. I know it's a weird gray area, but it basically means we haven't gone through the testing, but I've presented enough symptoms to suggest that this is likely the diagnosis.
Has a mental illness of any kind, myself included, I have an anxiety disorder, can understand the pain and what it feels like to be trapped, to feel like you're trapped in your mind, and I can't even imagine what it feels like to be trapped in your own body.
So I'm a member of a DID.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. That's a very good way of describing the trans experience, trapped in your own body. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ariella. That was a good way of saying it. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
That means that in the coming months, I am going to be able to watch some of my best friends and some of my closest companions get the body of their dreams that matches their gender, that makes them feel happy, and in exchange, I'm going to have to give up my own. I'm cisgender, the majority of my headmates aren't. I don't think we talk enough about how DID gets rid of a person's bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
I hear people say all the time.
No, that is very true. I want to keep going, but I just want to break this up in case, like, copyright or anything. What she's saying is true, and I really do feel for her and all of the headmates.
And the one thing you have control over is your own body and your own reactions, and I don't have that. This isn't my body, these aren't my reactions or my memories. I have like 30 people living in my brain, and everything I do belongs to us as a group. That's what's so hellish about this disorder. My parents fucked me up, and now I will never have full bodily autonomy. Anyways,
I just want to give her a hug. That's all.
Everybody say congratulations to the men in my system because they get to transition, and we're happy for them.
Okay, if any...
I want to say my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to all of the men in that system. I hope that the men are able to compromise and still allow her to present in a feminine way. Like, she still does makeup and wears dresses and whatever she has to do to feel comfortable. Breast forms, all of that stuff. I wish her the best with all of that. Because, yeah, losing your bodily autonomy is terrifying. And like I said before, it's not an easy decision.
Or all of this is true, people like this will always suffer in one way or another. I would kind of compare this to somebody being non-binary. If the word non-binary meant what I think it should mean, which is you don't fully feel comfortable being 100% male or 100% female in your body, like, wouldn't that be a permanent state of limbo? Like,
okay, I see where you're going with that, Ariella. That is better than what you used to say. I've seen some of your older content, and that is not a bad definition or bad understanding of non-binary people. It's more simplistic than how it actually is, but that's not a bad way of analyzing it. You're not comfortable male or female. All I would add is you're not comfortable feeling male or female all of the time, because that way you can include gender fluid people whose experience can change in the moment. And that would, gender fluid also would refer to people, to systems who have members who have different genders, because their system would be gender fluid. The body that would change their presentation based on which headmate is currently fronting. And that would result in a sort of gender fluid presentation. So that the definition, not wrong. Little tweaking, but I appreciate the advancements that you're making. So thank you.
that would suck. You never feel comfortable. Where do you go? No matter what route you choose, it's gonna suck in at least some ways. I often criticize people in videos like this when I make them, but this isn't one of those takes. I truly feel bad for this person. Mental health is a very, very real serious problem in the Western world at large right now. We have a ton of radical progressives believing that puberty blockers should be given without even having parental consent involved.
Okay, no, I'm gonna stop you there. You were doing so well. You were doing so well. I was on board. I was like listening. And then you mentioned puberty blockers. No, that's not how it works. Puberty blockers are given with the consent of therapists, parents, doctors, and the child. The child has to exhibit discomfort, talk to the therapist. The therapist or doctor has to like make sure that this is what they want. They go through the procedure with the parents, with the child. They talk about everything that can happen. And frankly, puberty blockers are not dangerous because all it does is suppresses a single hormone that starts the process of puberty. Hydrate. So it's not a dangerous thing for people to have puberty blockers, and frankly there are some medical conditions outside of trans identities that are solved by puberty blockers, because certain parts of puberty may instigate or not infuriate but make certain conditions worse, just based on the presence of those pubescent hormones. And they can be and the thing is, you can reverse puberty blockers at any time by simply not taking them. The moment you stop taking them, you'll start puberty again in whichever direction your body would naturally go based on the systems in place. So it's not a bad thing, and it's not thrown at people. It's very carefully discussed, and consent is very heavily monitored to make sure that people are doing this because they need to, or it would help them, rather than they are being pressured into it by some outside force, which would sort of make consent more gray. The medical community is very concerned with consent, especially the consent of children, when they do not yet have the intellectual capacity to fully consent to things. Aragonet, personally, I believe that the therapist and the child should override the parents. In today's day and age, where parents will often restrict their children's experiences based on their own biases and conservative and traditional tendencies, in that sense, I would agree with you. But I also think that it's important to involve the parents, because the parents can have a huge impact on how successfully that the child takes to this new regimen of having to take pills every day, and the parents will be there for all of the experiences that this child will go through. So while I do acknowledge that the parents can be a very restrictive force, I think it's still important that they are at least present for these discussions so that they can understand what's happening and consent to it in some small way, because they will have to take responsibility for this child when the doctor and therapist are not present. But I do see what you mean, and I do think there's some sense to that, where the therapist should have more say than a parent who does not have a full education on trans issues and medical issues like this.
And a ton of people in the medical field with power agreeing. I mean, most physicians.
For free to young people without parental consent, the end. It's done with birth control, and it's hard to argue GnRH analogs are more dangerous. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. It is. Puberty blockers also double as birth control, and if they're given out for free to everyone who wants them, provided like they go through the consent for stuff, yeah, because they don't have harmful side effects. They can be used for multiple things, not just puberty blocking, and frankly, we need to stop putting paywalls in the medical in medicine so that people can actually afford things that they need to live happy and healthy lives. I agree with that, with that wording of it at least. Arrogant, of course the parent should be involved, but if they are going to try and force a kid to present as cis because parents don't consent to a transition, that's a problem too. Yeah, no, I agree, but I don't think that's an issue that the medical system can really solve. I don't think that's an issue for the medical system. I think that's a legal issue in terms of like how we use CPS and other child protective services based on whatever country you're in. And it's a social issue because it really depends on the society and the cultural norms that you're around. If people do not care about gender, then people will be less likely to pressure their children into, staying a certain way or changing into a certain way. But I don't think that we are there yet as a society. So this is kind of like gender abolition, where yes, ideally this would be the best solution, but it's not a solution we can reach in our current state.
That specialize in trans medicine at this point wouldn't even give this young woman a second look, and they would just throw her on puberty blockers, give her top surgery, whatever she wanted.
No, the top surgery thing is completely separate. Don't mix the two. Puberty blockers, yes, give them out to anyone who wants them. Let people control their bodies. With consent and medical supervision and all of that. The surgeries are only done to people who are 18 and up, unless there's a law that like they can consent at 16 or 17, which I think is the case in some states. I could be wrong. And it can only be done to people who have passed a therapy, a psychological bar, and they have talked to a doctor and gotten doctor's approval and all of that stuff. Surgeries are not taken lightly, so don't pretend that they are.
Just to validate her. And that's scary to me because clearly this woman has more mental health issues going on. For me, this really is a tough one. I genuinely
So she is conflating these things in a way that is not healthy or accurate. Yes, this person has mental health issues going on, but what you aren't getting, Ariella, is that this transition that she's going to go through is going to make those mental issues less, because less of her system will be experiencing dysphoria, and she will be they will be taking steps to ensure their own mental health and well-being. All of them. Now, I don't know what steps the host of that system will be taking, but I'm just looking to see if she has she does not have the original source. Okay. I do hope that the system itself takes care of all of their members, including her.
Don't know what the best thing to do for people like this would be. I am grateful for the massive amount of progress that we have made in regards to mental health over the last 10 years, though. This is one of the coolest things that I've learned over the past few weeks. We now have reports coming out that certain strains of cannabis help fight COVID. I will include the link to this study in the description below.
Okay, I'm going to skip that. That is suggested in high doses in healthy cells in a lab. That is not even at the mice testing level yet of research. That is basically scientific conjecture based on preliminary investigations. It's basically at the same level of, this chocolate bar in my pocket melted. Maybe there's something we can do to conduct heat like that, and it leads to the microwave. That's the kind of level that we're at with this. So this, I'm going to skip past this because this is not scientifically sound enough for me to trust this information yet. So, yeah, we're just going to go bye. Bye-bye.
Prevent compounds.
Oh my gosh, how long are you going to spend on this? I don't care about this. This is not relevant to the topic at hand.
CBD. Let me get that straight right off the bat because it's very important. This is CBDA. Very different.
Okay, can we move back to the topic at hand?
CBD.
Please? Oh, this is for you are sponsored by this. Oh, so you're promoting this scientific stuff as clickbait so that you can get money.
CBD.
Oh, no, this is irresponsible, Ariella. This is an irresponsible way of using scientific information to misinform your audience so that you can make a buck. This is more dangerous than kids on puberty blockers because you are presenting information in a way that suggests something without being able to fully back it based on a litany of scientific research. You have one study that says high dosage of CBD injected into human cells can fight COVID. Congratulations, that's not really that effective. Oh my gosh, I don't want... Oh, skip all of this. Go away, I don't need this. This is gross. Go away. Go away, no, ugh. Look, I love weed, I think it's great. Oh my gosh, how much of this video is just her talking about CBD? This is not relevant to the conversation. Holy cow.
More beneficial or more effective.
What the?
Sent me a bunch of these products.
Seriously? Seriously, Ariella.
In my life, but I really want to get off of it. And
was this video just clickbait for your own sponsor? This is terrible. I want content, not you talking about CBD for 8 minutes and
10 years,
talking about
and
DID for
focuses
2.
So relaxed.
Did I say years? I meant minutes. Jeez, we're at the 6-minute mark and we're still going. Pause it.
Much better. I felt relaxed. My nausea.
It's been at least 3 minutes. It's been at least 3 minutes of her talking about hemp and CBD rather than talking about the context of this video. That is a third of this video. This is terrible.
I get every morning from having followed the lives of plastic surgeons in
okay,
back
here we
in
go.
2006 when the link in the description. Back in 2006 when Nip Tuck was one of my favorite TV shows, it basically followed the lives of plastic surgeons.
All right, my computer's caught up. Let's keep going.
In Miami. One episode, they actually had someone who had a mental illness called body integrity identity disorder. It's a very, very rare but very real disease that makes you feel like you have a limb that you don't actually want. But I'm going to read it just to make sure I...
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, they like cut off parts of their body so that they feel more at home in their body. And yeah, that should be taken with a lot of care and talked with medical professionals. But if the therapist agrees that that's what you need, and the person agrees and is consistent and that's what they need, and it's not going to like kill them, I don't have enough information to say that they shouldn't do that. So they shouldn't remove X part of their body. Now, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But it's their body, and it's something that they, if they get medical approval, I'm not going to say no.
Get it right.
But it's also not the point of this video.
Body integrity identity disorder, BIID, describes the extremely rare phenomenon of a person who desires the amputation of one or more healthy limbs, who desire...
Why are we talking about this?
...or for that feel like they have a limb that doesn't belong to them.
I have the name of a preeminent cognitive therapist. He specializes in treating patients with OCD and other phobias. He feels confident that your particular fetish...
It is not a fetish. It is a legitimate medical condition.
Whatever it is.
Cut to 2021 and 2022, and of course, you know, people are on TikTok claiming to have the disorder. They're on Tumblr blogging about this, adding the word trans to it, calling it transabled for maximum oppression points, of course. Transabled is a topic that my friend Blair...
Okay, I'm gonna stop her right here because I am so sick of people just throwing around the word TikTok as if it's the new Tumblr. So sick of people using TikTok as a slur to say you just can't believe people there because they're on TikTok. Kids are allowed to express themselves and use language to describe their experiences. And you don't get to say whether that experience is valid or not, whether those words are accurate or not. They do, because they are the ones describing their own experiences. If that's those are the words that they feel best matches their identity, then guess what? They get to use those words, and you just have to make sure that they understand what they're saying. Now, could they be wrong? Yes, they could be wrong. Should they therefore not be allowed to experiment and like try those words? No. Let them use those words. Let them try to explain themselves, and let them try to explain their circumstances, because that's going to allow them to feel comfortable in the future to change and grow and admit they were wrong, but then say that they learned something from it, that you learned so much from thinking you have something, looking into it, and then realizing that either yes, you're right, or no, you're not, but now you have an understanding of how people in that situation would feel. So just immediately disavowing and becoming and discrediting people on TikTok simply because they're on TikTok, therefore they must be wrong. It's frustrating, and I think ethically and morally, no, I won't say morally wrong, but it's definitely wrong to just see kids using these words and immediately assume they're wrong, whether they are or not. I'm not saying whether these kids are right or not. I'm saying they should be allowed to try and express themselves, because for the first time in history, we have a system that allows people to express themselves openly and find out new information about their own experiences and put their experiences into words that can be easily communicated in ways that we never have before. And so, good for these kids for expressing themselves. I don't know if they're accurate descriptions or not, but that's not the point here. The point here is I'm glad that they're trying. Who is she to say that someone is wrong with their own mind? Who is she? She is Ariella Scarcello? Scarello? Ariella Scarcello. I had it right the first time. This is what she does. She is constantly disavowing and delegitimizing people's experiences with that smug grin, because that is her brand at this point. This is just who she is. This is what she does. She makes money, clearly, off of making videos like this where she says, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. This one seems kind of gross to me. Like, she's not even talking about the person at this point. She's talking about all these other things that she can discredit, because the one person she brought up is actually valid to her. So she has to bring up other examples that aren't. Which is, I want her to talk about the actual topic, please, because that's an interesting topic.
Transabled is a topic that my friend Blair White covered in the past. I will also include a link.
I don't care about the transabled
than ever before. And yes, now they even have their own flag. And once again,
oh my God, I don't care about this.
To the LGBT rights movement, claiming that BIID is somehow a trans.
This is not what we're here for. This is not what we're here for.
There it is. There it is. They outed themselves, pun intended. They are latching onto our movement to gain social.
Go back to the topic, please.
Head and
no, what? This isn't what we're here for. This has nothing to do with DID.
Whatnot.
What are we talking about here?
To die. Serious question.
All right, skipping that clip. I don't care. Someone who internally feels like they have no face, wants to remove their face. Skinsalese. I have friends who might have that, actually. I kind of wish I could remove my face too. Literally last night I was staring at myself in the mirror, and I just wish I could like take off my face like a faceplate and just let out the me that is inside this body. That is my experience. That is who I am as a void. I am a space, a void trapped inside this human form. At least that is a very basic way of describing it. Now I have a word to describe it. Senzalis. So thank you. I learned something. And I'm going to make sure that I let people know that this word exists so that we can communicate ourselves more effectively. Because now I know there's an actual word for this sensation. But again, this has nothing to do with the video topic.
No.
Are we going to talk about DID at all?
Photos, like, would that trigger them? Would that give them dysphoria? Genuinely
okay.
asking question. Also, would this person ever consider
No. That's a cool flag. That's a really cool flag. The goblin mermaid person with the lack of a face, the colors behind it. I love that flag.
Like,
but are we going to talk about the topic?
Figure out how these people with these types of mental illnesses could be of service to others in the world. Next, we have
what do you
ever considered donating their
Oh boy.
photos? Like, would that trigger them? Would that give them dysphoria? Genuinely asking question.
No, you aren't. No, you aren't, Ariella. You are making a facetious point so that you can sound like you're coming from a innocent point of view, when really you are just, what's the word? You are being sarcastic in your support for these people. And it is clear what you're doing. Like, it is not hard to see that what you're doing is really framing this conversation in a way that is inherently delegitimizing to people who have these experiences. You are framing this in a way, you're constantly questioning them rather than listening to these people and trying to understand their experiences. You are questioning them and posing questions that they may not have the answers to, or that they may not want to answer, because you don't really care about listening. You clearly only care about asking questions and going off topic to things that don't apply to the topic at hand of what you brought up. Because we were supposed to be talking about DID, and guess what? We're over here talking about limb removal and face removal instead, and having nothing to do with being trans. Get to the point.
This person ever considered donating their face to, let's say, a burn victim? Like, I'm just trying to figure out how these people with these types of mental illness.
Just a moment. I'm looking something up real quick. Once I see the timestamp so I know how long it is, I'll pick a video. It shouldn't take too long. 2 or 3. Here we go. Pause it, let it load. Okay. And that should be good.
Surgery. I'd like to take his face off.
There you go, everyone. We got the reference. We did the joke. We can take our face off. Again, that has nothing to do with why we're here, but at least we got a funny reference out of it.
Illnesses could be of service to others in the world. Next, we have parasoma. Parasoma is the trans-abled identity and referring to the desire of acquiring a paralysis.
Again, not why we're here. I don't really care about
crutches.
this.
I don't. It is, right? And again, I'm not meaning to make fun.
Wait, what did you say?
It is, right? And again, I'm not meaning to make fun of any of these, honest.
Then why are you bringing them up and constantly questioning them and constantly making jokes about what they might entail without actually going in and understanding what these actually do entail? You're just making jokes about things you don't understand and then saying, oh, but it's just a joke. And then saying, oh, but I don't actually mean that. I'm genuinely curious. Like, The reason people don't like you and the reason people don't trust you is because you do this pattern of making jokes and like listing silly, quote unquote, silly implications of things, and then backtracking and say, oh, but I don't really mean that. I genuinely want to know. It's inherently dishonest.
Like, if these are actual mental illnesses, these need to be taken.
This is where the video's almost over and we've gotten almost no content.
And then speaking for us, I sit here and I wonder if these people are actually getting help, or are they joining these little niche communities to simply get validation? Because validation alone isn't enough. You need help, you need therapy, you need possible medication. This was a very...
Yes, no, I agree. I agree, you do. And in the case of trans people, that medication is puberty blockers and hormones and possible surgery. In the case of these other conditions, I genuinely don't know, but at least therapy and social acceptance. Something that you clearly do not understand how it works because you have been doing nothing but mocking these people for expressing their own experiences. I'm glad we had such a focused video on DID and trans identities, because whoo boy, you are just an unorganized mess of disillusionment.
Strange video today, I know, so please let me know if you guys keep enjoying this type of content. Make sure you subscribe and give this video a big like down below. Lets me know.
Genuinely, who would enjoy a video that's this disorganized, that she jumps into at least 3 or 4 different topics that have no relation to anything else? She talked about she talked about weed for 2 or like a good third to fourth of the video. She talked about DID and trans issues for like 2-3 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes, and then she talked about random trans body issues of like wanting to remove certain parts of your body or wanting to change certain parts of your body because it's uncomfortable to you for the rest of it, because you just had nothing to say. There was nothing here. There was no content. There was no point made. There was nothing but bad jokes and her saying, oh, isn't this weird? Oh, isn't that weird? Huh. Well, I definitely support these people, but it certainly is weird, and I hope they get the help they need. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I.e., they stop believing this crazy stuff. These silly kids who, with their TikToks and their and their trans ableism and their all. God. I'm annoyed because I genuinely wanted a cool discussion about DID and trans issues. So instead of giving I keep forgetting her name. I'm so bad with names. Giving Ariella the last word, we're just going to keep it here. I'm going to tell you instead about our trans experience with DID, because I feel like that at least will be relatable to the topic at hand of headmates being trans and what do you do. As I said before, I am a trans non-binary woman. I have a headmate who, given my current status as a transitioning woman, is a trans man. I think that if he had appeared before I transitioned, he would simply be comfortable in the body I had. No, he'd still want to transition. Okay. Cool. Sorry about that. Headmate discussion. So, actually, do you want to hang on a moment? All right. Hi, Marduk. I would like to discuss this since this applies to my own identity. Firstly, I would like to say DID is valid, and we just did switch so that I could come and describe this in my own words. I identify as a trans man. I identify my ideal form, my form that would not give me dysphoria, is the body of what is typically seen as a man, but with female genitalia. I will say that. I will say it in that way. Regardless of whether I emerged before or after Kaden began her transition, I would have wanted to transition in some way so that I could get the body that I would prefer. Now, I do not require a medical transition for my own comfort. I understand that other headmates would. Kaden certainly did. And I am fine with her continuing on her transition and having breasts and losing body hair and all of that stuff, because that does not matter to me and how I see myself. It does not matter to our other headmate either. They would be more along the lines of what she is saying is trans ableist, where you would like the removal of certain body parts. We will not be able to do that, unfortunately, simply because we would not be able to remove them for air and put them back on for the rest of us. So we will have to compromise and keep things going as they are naturally, unless until we get medical advice and go through that. And I will say that would be the only thing that would change our minds on that. But the topic was, I was going to discuss my experiences. And that's really it. I identify as a he. I am non-binary, and I would like different genitals than we were given, but I do not require a medical transition. Kaden does, and so we are medically transitioning in the direction she wants. As for the person in the beginning of this, I would like to skip back to her and listen to what she has to say, because I would like to give my own take on it. It is important that we fully understand this condition and the complexities that can come with having headmates that are different genders.
I'm cisgender, the majority of my headmates aren't, and we've decided to transition. Which means that as happy as I am for the men in my system, I am about to have to watch myself go through the wrong puberty. And it's gonna be permanent.
I have no...
Okay, and we're going to skip her, because I just want to get all of this clip. I wish we had the link to the original. It would be very helpful currently. But as we do not, I will have to skip through this bitch. And I only use that term because it is a term I use for people who do not respect the identities of others.
Of a DID system, and for me right now that means that in the coming months I am going to be able to watch some of my best friends and some of my closest companions get the body of their dreams that matches their gender, that makes them feel happy, and in exchange I'm going to have to give up my own.
I'm going to pause it there, because that description of headmates being your best friends is a good description of a healthy system, at least in our experience. Headmates should be friends with each other because it promotes good communication and balance and care of the body that all of the headmates are in charge of. Headmates are all responsible for managing food and money and hygiene, all of that. There are many times where I have had to step in and take over doing a job that Kaden was doing because she ran out of spoons, and I stepped in to ensure that the job got done so that we could make money and survive. Or there were times when I was distracted with a certain job. Often it would be Twitch, prep, And Caden would step in to remind me to go eat or to go take a shower. And we would negotiate when we would have to get up. And there is a lot of communication and a lot of respect of boundaries that has to happen when you are in charge of a body. And yes, you do not have your own autonomy, as she's going to talk about. You have to balance your autonomy with other people's autonomy. It is not easy to admit that, and Caden is terrified of losing her autonomy. Yeah, I want to just talk about the autonomy bit, but I think we should keep going. As for the transitioning thing, I think I've said enough before. I'm proud of her for doing this. I wish her the best, and I do hope her friends, her headmates, take care of her, because she's gonna need a lot of care.
I'm cisgender. The majority of my headmates aren't. I don't think we talk enough about how DID gets rid of a person's bodily autonomy. You know, I hear people say all the time, the one thing you have control over is your own body and your own reactions, and I don't have that. This isn't my body. These aren't my reactions or my memories. I have like 30 people living in my brain, and
30 people's a lot. We have a system of 3, and managing that is a lot. I cannot imagine how busy a system of 30 would be, or even a system of 10. I would not be able to handle that. Going to my own discussion of autonomy, I'm someone who is very protective of myself, and personal experiences that have limited my ability to make decisions for myself have made me very adamant that I should have control of myself at all times, and so that I can make these decisions. And I do not. Simply put, I do not, because I have to allow my headmates to experience life and not trap them in my head. It's not fair to them. As unfair as it is to me that I have to experience situations where I cannot interfere and cannot, and have to do things that I am uncomfortable with or do not want to do. I'm not the one in charge of this body all the time, and I don't, it terrifies me that I'm sometimes I feel like I'm losing control, even because in a sense I am, but in a sense we are gaining better control of our body. And if I keep the perspective of this is about us rather than this is about me, it's an easier perspective to look at this with. This transition that we are going through is about what makes all of us most comfortable. And ever since coming out as plural, we've had a lot of discussions about what makes us comfortable. Do we want to continue with this? What about surgeries? All of that stuff. And mostly what I've got back is keep doing what you're doing, Caden, because it would make us more comfortable than if we stopped and went in the other direction. And so that has been helpful, and that has been reassuring that my headmates are willing to support my decisions and my autonomy. And that makes me more willing to support them in their pursuits of their autonomy. Like I said, we have a binder for Marduk, and we have other prosthetics that Marduk will wear when he wants to, when he is dealing with his own dysphoria. We have taken steps to ensure that everyone has the tools they need to be equipped to handle these difficult circumstances, while also ensuring that we don't interrupt anyone else's comfort. And it becomes this whole balancing act of, I have to do this for this person, and I have to make sure that I give space for them to do that. And there's times when I will let myself disappear into the headspace so that someone else can take control. And that's not an easy thing to let go. It's not when you have grown up, having control of your body and having control of your own life be seen as a temporary issue that can be taken away by people with more authority. It's not easy to give it away to people who have the same level of authority but are in your own head. So so trying to transition like this when you're the host and have to give up this much autonomy of your own self, it's a lot. At least I assume that she's the host. It is a lot. It is terrifying. And while I have said I respect her for it, I cannot help but empathize for her, because that is a huge amount of yourself that you have to give up because of a mental balancing act that you are not responsible for in the first place. You did not. No one who has DID gave DID to themselves. That's not how it works. So this lack of autonomy that she has to accept is scary, and scary because it's not something she has ever consented to, in the sense of like, I want to be in a situation where I have to give up this much autonomy. It just happened to her because of the actions of people around her. And that's not fair to her. It's also not fair to her headmates that she had to go through this stuff to be in this situation in the first place.
Everything I do belongs to us as a group. That's what's so hellish about this disorder. My parents fucked me up, and now I will never have full bodily autonomy. Anyways, everybody say congratulations to the men in my system, because they get to transition, and we're happy for them.
Okay, if any or all...
I just want to skip back to that. Yeah, you would be happy for the people in your system, because you would feel their euphoria as they go through their transition. You would feel how excited they are and feel every emotion that they go through. It would be a roller coaster, but it would make you happy in a way that's so much more intense than if it was your best friend. But at the same time, they would feel how uncomfortable it makes you. It's difficult. It's good for them. Good for them, the men. And it is a positive thing. But she's right to be upset about it, because it's unfair to her.
Congratulations to the men in my system, because they get to transition, and we're happy for them.
Okay.
Okay. So, we're happy for them. Whoever that was, we wish her the best. And if you're plural and trans, or if you have anything that was discussed in this video and would like to talk about it, like to share about it, please leave it down in the void. Throw your thoughts, scream into the void. You're there to be heard. You're there to just let it all out. YouTube doesn't have a character limit. You can go as long as you need. I will read every comment. We will read every comment. The void loves you very much. Do all the YouTube things, and thank you. I need some water. I need some water. Ugh. Fuck. That wasn't what I was expecting, and that wasn't what I wanted, and we are frustrated with her, first off. We are frustrated with her, with Ariella, for completely ignoring this experience and moving on to things she can mock. The way she handled this was completely inappropriate, and completely wrong, and she is terrible for deciding that this is how she wanted to for deciding that this is something she thought was for handling this in the way she did. She's terrible. She did not learn anything about what she's talking about. She did not try to educate herself at all. She simply wanted to use this as clickbait so that she could promote her own shitty weed thing and then talk about some edgy trans body stuff that she could laugh at, which is completely delegitimizing and awful and genuinely fuck you. Fuck you from all of us. As for that discussion before, I'm probably going to split that video into 2 bits because that kind of went longer than I wanted. And Ariella Scarcella was just junk. So I'll have to do some editing, and we have not had a lot of spoons for editing. So who knows when this is actually going up. I want to catch up on chat, though. Midnight Pizza has been acquired. Good for you, Aragonite. Good for you. Big hugs for all 3 of you. You're all amazing, and I can't imagine how hard this must be sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like saying it's hard because it's not really. Like, I don't know. I feel weird talking about it, discussing it, putting my own thoughts into words that are said out loud, because when I do that, it loses the emotions and complex waves that my thoughts can carry when it's in my head. I don't think I'm ready to talk more about it yet. I wish I had therapy to talk about it, but I can't afford therapy at the moment, so I'm just gonna have to wait. Until then, yeah, I guess, I don't know, you have any questions, any concerns, any criticisms, violent disagreements? Oh man, I want to see if I can find out who that was. No, it's cropped, so I can't see it. Cool, cool. TikTok. No, not 2021 BR. Violent disagreements with the video, but not with you. Oh, thank you. This is terrifying. What what is with these thumbnails? Nope, 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 nope. Getting rid of this. Getting rid of this. Nope. DID, please, just DID TikTok. Oh my gosh. I need to... Trans TikTok glow up? Okay, that's cool. That's not what I'm here for. MTF, people laughing at TikToks because haha, trans people is so funny. Oh, this might be worth watching. Good for them. Not what I'm here for, but good for them. What's this? Future YouTube things. You might like this browser extension. Let's try switching the order of these words and seeing if that happens. That changes things. Exploring trans TikTok. No, no. Who's this? What? Art guy. have to look into this because they're in red, but they're also trans positive, it seems. So we'll figure that one out. Man, not a lot of... Alright, well, let's look up DID TikTok. Fake? Fake? Why does everyone doubt us? Seriously, why does everyone doubt us? We're not... We're real. We're real and we're valid. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I've been on my period for the past week. It's been rough emotionally, and I'm just... Oh, I hate this, because there probably are people who are faking it or like trying it out and don't understand it. And yeah, it doesn't... It can be hurtful to the people who genuinely experience it, but also like they're kids exploring themselves, and I don't want to crush them for that. Hey, non-human alter. Oh, fuck you, Ariella. Fakers just because they have a non-human alter? Fuck you! I'm upset. I should go because this stream's gotten away from me. I'm sorry. I love you all. You're all wonderful. Let's watch something funny and silly, and then we can go. 157 subscribers. So you're small. You only have a couple videos. Why is... Oh, whatever. If dysphoria was a person, sure. Let's see this.
Sweater? This thing? Yeah. No, get changed. Now.
True. That's not even a sweater though, that's just a shirt.
I can see your titties. If I can see your titties.
Ah! That's so accurate. It never makes you comfortable. It always makes you feel like you're never doing the right thing. I hate it. Man, I haven't really felt dysphoria in a long time thanks to the transition. But gosh, yeah. This is accurate.
You really failing there.
Is this good enough for you?
Actually, yeah, it looks really nice.
Really?
No.
Now, why are you here?
What are you gonna do?
Take a shower?
How?
Like taking a shower.
How are you gonna do that? You're gonna go and cry in your room again because you can't stand to look at your own body?
I could turn off the lights. That's fine, right? Turn off the light. Don't see myself. All's good, right? Right?
Yeah.
That's...
I wonder if they're sisters. I wonder if these people are sisters. And
You really just wanna go and take a shower?
true. The only reason I took showers was because I was trained to do it every single day, no matter what. And I didn't recognize my own dysphoria.
That time of the month again? Yeah? Time where you remember you aren't male and you're actually a female. Shut up.
Punch him, punch him, punch him. I hate this. Okay, not really. I know that they're friends and whatnot, but man, I hate dysphoria. I'm getting some feels from Marduk too, I can definitely tell.
By the way, I recommend you get some chocolate, some Advils, and some tea.
Oh, that's actually helpful.
Can I just lock myself in my room for a week?
If you have some ice cream, maybe.
I actually agree with you for once.
Yeah, that's a mood. That's a mood. What's this gonna be about? The crushing weight of dysphoria. Love it. Okay, that was cute. That was cute. Alright, now don't want that. Let's see who we can raid. Hopefully we can, Bon Bon is still up. I would like to raid her if she is. I know she'd be on for a while if she is still up, but yeah, we'll see. Oh, Cirrus is on. Let's see, Princess Nemesis doing Monster Hunter. Slakuna, Monster Hunter. Sleepy. You know what? Let's raid Sleepy Ghost. I've been meaning to raid Sleepy Ghost for a while. They are on. I'm gonna happily raid Sleepy Ghost. Alright. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn on the well, thank you for coming, stream. Feel free to raid, follow them. They are the other VoidTuber on Twitter. On Twitch, I mean. So please give them a like, give them a follow. And just thank you for being here, everyone. We're growing. We're steadily growing. Nope, this one. Thanks for watching. Stay around so I can get us rated. A party of one is better than a party of none, you know? Oh, look at that. Stream manager. Marduk's here a lot. He's just, it's in the background. Oh no! Did they just leave? Oh, that sucks. I think they just left. Alright, then we might raid Cirrus instead. Because, you know, it's better than... Oh, that's right there. I keep forgetting there's 4 of us in this head now. Oh, they did leave! Dang it! Dang it, we were just a little too slow. Alright, Cirrus it is. Cirrus is cool, by the way. I highly recommend Cirrus. Stick around for him. He's really fun. Go, 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 go! Expelled from the void!